Good evening, everyone. I am your host, Jason Miles, and welcome to the NFL college football episode of Beyond the Red Zone. It's a rough day for me as a Bronco fan, having to witness the growing pains of our rookie quarterback. Let's just get right into this intro. Then I have to say I wrote for Wednesday, so I'll have to excuse prognostications in the introduction. The NFL season kicked off this Thursday, and there's plenty to be excited about. This year, we're witnessing history with 15 black quarterbacks starting, signaling a shift in the league's dynamics. But the big question on everyone's mind is whether C.J. Stroud will continue his remarkable trajectory from a standout rookie season or fall victim to the dreaded sophomore slump. Meanwhile, Bryce Young, another first-round pick, is looking for improvement, and all eyes are on Caleb Williams, who impressed during the preseason. Williams has the monumental task of playing quarterback in Chicago, a city that has long struggled to find a true franchise QB. Could he be the one to change that narrative? Over in Denver, the post-Peyton Manning era has been challenging, but there's hope that Bo Nix might finally fill that void. On the college football front, the discussion around the transfer portal and NIL, name, image, and likeness, those that don't know, money is heating up. These changes are fundamentally altering the game, and some coaches, like Dabo Swinney of Clemson, might be stuck in the past, as evidenced by Clemson's recent loss to Georgia. The portal provides opportunities for seasoned players from smaller schools to shine at bigger programs, but it also presents a dilemma. Should athletes stay at a small school where they're guaranteed playing time, or take the gamble on a bigger stage? Cam Ward's journey has been emblematic of this new era. While Miami's win over the Florida Gators was convincing, questions remain about Ward's development. Despite making plays, his size and consistency in hitting receivers in stride remain concerns. And then there's Deion Sanders, perhaps the most talked about 4-8 coach in history. Sanders has struggled to develop talent outside of his family, yet his son Shedeur Sanders continues to dazzle. Not so much this past weekend, showing why he might be the first pick in the 2025 draft. I still believe that. Meanwhile, Travis Hunter is making a case as the best player in college football, though Arizona's Tetatoria McMillan, I don't know how to say that kid's first name. It doesn't matter. He's the best wide receiver I've seen in college since Randy Moss. With his jaw-dropping 300-yard 4-touchdown performance against New Mexico, might be the most NFL-ready wide receiver since Randy Moss. The USC versus LSU game was undoubtedly the highlight of the week, but not everyone got to see it thanks to the ongoing battles in the streaming wars. From the Olympics to Disney's power move over DirecTV, the landscape of sports broadcasting is more fragmented than ever, causing frustrations for fans. There's a lot to unpack, and as always, we'll find time to be ridiculous along the way. Let's dive in. Let me bring in my co-host, Mac.
Hello.
How are you?
Great football weekend for me, man. So I'm not
because Ohio State won, right?
And New England won.
Yep. I watched a little bit of that New England game. Jacoby Brissett is a very good bridge quarterback, and that's going to be the next term you hear in the 2025 quarterback or in the 25 draft. I guarantee they're going to say he may not be a day one starter, but he's going to be a good bridge guy.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? And we'll just jump into it. May's going to end up starting at some point in the year.
Yuck.
I really believe that. With Brissett, he gave you what Jacoby Brissett does, right? Like, he didn't make big mistakes. He hit those 8-9 yard freaking passes and allowed receivers to get a couple yards after the catch. New England did what I really thought they were going to do, which is lean into the run game. Ramondre Stevenson had a fucking phenomenal game. Um, you know, and they played the same tough defense that they have been playing. And that's the thing is, like, I like beating Cincinnati, which, some people will say, or is going to win the AFC North, and, they'll be able to push to get deep into the playoffs.
Call him a Lego head. I've never heard Lego head before.
Yeah, see, that's why his hood doesn't fit correctly, because he's got that weird Lego head.
Oh God!
But I mean, this is going to be a rebuilding year for the Pats. But I think Jared Mayo did a phenomenal job getting this team ready. And somebody already said Cincinnati looked confused the entire game. They looked confused, and New England ran like 10 different plays. So I don't. That's going to be a matter of coaching, and what we have to realize is that Cincinnati's kind of built to win right now. How much longer is the Brown family going to sit there and say and allow bad coaching to really affect the team's ability to be successful? And honestly, I think that's what it was. This is a case of bad coaching. Now, as far as Denver goes, I know you were upset, but Nick's, this is his first professional start, and he got a lot of extended time against like the 2s and 3s. But I don't think Denver set themselves up for success by keeping Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson as like your backups, because if Nix goes down, and it wasn't pretty today, I understand that. But there's going to be a learning curve for a kid that plays, that played in the systems he played in college, and coming up, making that step up to the pros.
I watched Oregon's last 2 games, and I can't really see that much of a difference between their current quarterback and Bo Nix. And they put that Chiron up early on in the game, that he had more starts than anyone else in college football history. But I think the record he had is like 77 completion percentage in his senior season, which is a record. But touchdowns and yards, he doesn't have that record. And there's just schools that threw even more than Oregon in the 80s and early 90s that put up some kind of crazy video game like numbers. So those records are going to be a little harder to break. But watching him in a real NFL game was painful, because I haven't watched a rookie in Denver. What's the kid's name? Drew Lock. And Drew Lock didn't start the season. He came in at the end of the season and did really well, and then got hurt and was and they moved on from him. But it feels like in a place like Denver, kind of like Miami and soon to be Pittsburgh, when you have the shadow of a great quarterback that never got a hometown replacement, like we never drafted a replacement for John Elway. We got Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Jesus, how many years was that after Elway? Maybe 10, 15 years after Elway?
Something like that, yeah.
And you get a Peyton Manning post a severe neck surgery, but you get a Peyton Manning that you probably get the best 4-year run out of any quarterback. I mean, that season he has in 16 games is still the best, most prolific season of a quarterback in NFL history in 16 games, and we're at 17 now.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think 3 out of those 4 years he was the best, arguably the best quarterback in football. That last year,
the last year was a little painful to watch, but people forget
that was the year. That was the year Father Time decided, okay, Peyton, enough. You're gonna lose this.
Brock Osweiler played like 8 games that year. People forget that he played about half the season and won a very important playoff game for Denver, or helped win.
Yeah.
The defense in the running game was really good, but watching Bo Nix play, watching the running game try to put it together, it was rough, but I did get a little bit of hope. I saw the highlights for the end of the game where they tried to make a run towards the end. I think the defense is just a little undersized and just got leaned on.
It's a work in progress, man, because you got to think Peyton's going into year 2. You need time, right? And that's the thing with all of us, wanting winners.
Yeah.
Football fans aren't what you would call patient. Even more so in the college game, right?
Well, would you agree though, Mac? You and I are old enough to remember where I was showing someone the show, and the last show we did, you had talked about being a Pats fan, and the first year you were a Pats fan was the Scott Zolak years.
Yeah.
And I believe Scott Zolak's first season is the year they go 1-16. Talk about a bridge quarterback.
1 in
15. Sorry, 1 in 15.
Yeah.
You get Drew Brees, and in a couple seasons,
Drew Bledsoe.
God, I didn't say you said Drew Brees on the show too.
Yeah,
you get Drew Bledsoe, and in a couple seasons, that team is in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And what beat him more than anything was kick returns, was special.
Yeah, bad special teams play.
But when I think of the old days of you need to give him 5 years, you got to give the coach 5 years. Coach has a 5-year plan. He's going to rebuild the team in 5 years. You get 5 minutes because of the success people like Roethlisberger had out of the chute.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud.
We have to admit that some quarterbacks come out of college ready to play pro ball, right? It could be a size thing. It could be release. It could be, knowledge of the game. It could be all those things, right? But some QBs are ready out of the box, right? To be successful in the NFL. Now, those are exceptions and not rules, we're never going to see the head coach and front office with the patience that the Houston going into Tennessee Titans, had with McNair, because he essentially sat 2 years before he started an amazing career. But you're not going to see that now, right? A lot of people think that because we're seeing the implementation of a lot of spread concepts at the pro level, that, the transition's easier, and it's not, because you got to think in college at the FBS level, you've got like 135 programs, right? And let's face it, every year there's only 15, 20 teams that are actually going to compete for the title. Everybody else is just kind of there enjoying it, right? And some teams are bigger, faster, stronger than others. Look at what Tennessee did to NC State this weekend. Like, that was just, it was mean. Like, I felt bad. And I typically don't feel bad for North Carolina collegiate football programs because they seem to think that they can play football, and it's like, nah, bro. You
same thing with Duke.
Yeah, but at the pros, everybody is fast, everybody is big, everybody is strong, everybody knows the game, right? So that leg up you had with talent, it's not present so much in the NFL. And that's why, a lot of quarterbacks, they shine in the preseason, and it's because they play against 2s and 3s for longer periods. And then when they come up against the 1s, it's a whole different ballgame. I really think that the NFL would be better served having a minor league for players like Bo Nix, to get some reps against, pro level players, and to get him ready, because, I get it. College ball is great. It's a free system, for the NFL ownership group that they don't have to put any money into, but it would probably help player development quite a bit if there was an actual minor league. You're absolutely right, Kush. It is. It's a very weird segment, Ben Burgess segment.
Look, I want to stay with the NFL for a bit. The season kicked off, and I think the season for me personally, as a football fan, I missed a lot of preseason because I don't care to watch it because of what you said. And one thing I noticed was that the young guys who we were all like, dude, look at so and so, he's NFL ready. To your point, we're playing against twos and threes to the point where the coaches were starting the backups and then bringing in these young starters
Yeah.
to play maybe the second and third quarters or end of first quarters, and they're just looking great. And I'm sure it built confidence going into the season, which I thought was interesting. And if you look at the lines of all the rookies today, they were not good.
No.
I watched the end of the Bears game. That defense won that game. That's why wins and losses for a quarterback is the worst statistic ever. It's not baseball and pitching anywhere close.
Yeah.
That defense was quite impressive because when I walked into the bar that had all the games on, it was 17-10 in the fourth quarter. I was like, oh, that sucks. Let's see if this kid can come back. And he looked like he was having some problems finding receivers. I think they're not used to the tightness of the windows they have to throw to. Because even in preseason, people aren't showing you their real packages.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. That's Caleb Williams is going to be successful. I really believe that.
Yes.
But it's going to take time, right? Like I think the Bears front office kind of bothers the shit out of me because they could have surrounded Fields with the improvements that they, added to the team in anticipation of Caleb. But it is what it is. They got the quarterback they wanted. But again, it goes back to on a college football field, Caleb Williams could do anything he wanted.
Yeah.
He was better than everybody,
Yes.
But to that point, like, bro, you played in the Pac-12. And I'm not like saying this to kick a dead horse. But over the last 20 years, that's not what you would call a very strong defensive conference.
I would beg to differ since there's so many people that play starting defense in the NFL from that conference. But
yeah,
go ahead and you're a Buckeye. So
USC has all the talent in the world on defense, and Lincoln Riley's teams still allow almost 30 points a game, right?
That was last year.
It's been the track record even under Helton. Like, come on, man. Oregon has like this weird defense where most players are kind of like tweeners, and they don't, outside of some defensive backs, they don't do well in the pros. It's not a stout defensive conference, right?
You can have your opinion.
You have yours.
I'm going to go look on NFL rosters while you pontificate.
Go ahead. But Caleb Williams was better than everybody on the field. Between Oklahoma and USC, like he's just a phenomenally talented kid. But again, everybody's fast, everybody's big, everybody is strong, everybody. This is the pros, man. This is a whole, like, you're taking yet another step up from playing in then group of five football, or group of five, or not, as I was Power 5 football. So like it's different, so. Yeah, I agree with you, man. The Big 12, outside of like a team or two, horribly, played defense. But like it's just how it is, and
can I name you just a few? Can I name you just a few
bro.
defensive players from the San Francisco 49ers?
Mm-hmm.
Where we go? Here we go. Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, linebacker. Eric Armstead, defensive lineman. Demonandre Lenore, defensive back. Christian McCaffrey.
Well, he's a
Tadaloa Ufanaga. Drake Jackson. These are defensive starters on the Super Bowls. Do you want me to go to the Chiefs side too?
I am not saying that they didn't have amazingly talented players. I'm saying
You
defense
try to
wasn't
say that
coached
they're
well
just trash because
in the
you're a hater
Pac-12.
from the Big Ten. We're dominating your conference right now. Just know that.
You ain't dominating shit. It's gonna be funny watching USC and Oregon play in fucking Iowa and Wisconsin in the winter.
Why?
Because they're gonna be shell shocked, dude.
Why? You're assuming that everyone's from California doesn't know how snow works, and that's not how
No,
football teams are put together.
I am not saying that. It's different playing in the winter, and when half your home games are played in the beautiful climes of Southern California or Oregon. Yeah,
It's
kind of
but
rainy there.
think about when you think about Alabama, you would never assume that, or even a school like Miami, you would never assume that some of their best players came from places where those kids never experienced humidity. Because you never think that. So there's this idea that, oh, you're from California and you're from Southern California. It's like not everybody's from Southern California.
I know, I'm aware, but
Caleb
USC
Williams
recruits
is from DC. So if anybody knows cold weather, it's that guy.
He should be good for Chicago. But I'm just saying, nobody recruits California like USC. Like if they didn't have to, like if they didn't want to, they wouldn't. They could still put up
that way.
a great team just from
You can look
California
back.
recruits.
You can look back 10 years ago and be like, they stopped being able to recruit California because the players are all over the SEC, Big 12. But again, when we look at college football players, there's an automatic assumption. Where's CJ Stroud from? Last I checked, you never have said anything about CJ Stroud playing horribly in cold weather, and he's from Southern California.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is with CJ, he's the exception and not the rule. He was phenomenal in high school. He was phenomenal in college, and I'll argue that with any Ohio State fan ever. I was crushed when he was like, I mean, I knew it was coming when he declared for the draft, but I was like, just stay one more year, man. Just stay one more year.
Was he a fourth year junior?
No, I believe he only did 3. He did 3 years in school.
Jesus, that kid is just so fucking good.
He's phenomenal. I am a CJ homer. I am unapologetic about it. I was unapologetic when he was in Columbus. I don't understand the Buckeye hate towards him, considering he just shredded every Buckeye passing record ever. And he single-handedly kept us in the game against Georgia. That his last year in Columbus. So it's just like, dude, because he didn't run, and that has been what we Ohio State fans expect now as a quarterback that's able to move and pick up yards with his feet. That's not CJ's game. He is a traditional drop back passer. And, I fucking love the dude, man.
You know who I'm not sold on? Anthony Richardson.
See,
tell me why I should care about Anthony Richardson.
I can't, because I'm in the same boat as you. I see the pass that he fucking dropped a beautiful dime for that long touchdown. And then you just see him miss some passes, right? Like that he should easily get, like, just simple things. And this is going to be something that Steichen, Sean Steichen, the head coach, has got to sit down and work with them on. His rookie year was kind of a bust because he got hurt. But like when you watch him throw the ball downfield, you're like, wow, man, that is a pretty ball. Gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Just putting it where he wants. And then you look at like an 8-yard out route to a tight end, and he just completely overthrows his man, and it's just like, I don't know, without a lot of coaching, because he didn't have a lot of starts in college. If this is somebody that's gonna, be successful. I'm still on the fence about him, right? Like a quarterback, I'm completely just kind of, thank you, Ayatollah. I was just getting ready to get to him. I think Bryce Young is cooked. Absolutely.
I was visibly sad watching I walked in and it was like 30 something to 10, and then it
Yeah.
didn't get any better. That game felt like it went for an hour and a half. That was the longest last 5 minutes of a football game I've ever seen. Do you think Bryce Young is one of those people? Like, there's always these schools that become quarterback schools. And I think Alabama, which for me was never a quarterback school until like they had this little mini run. And when you look at some of the guys that came out of there, it's like these guys are kind of small.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts was small. Tua is kind of small. Who else came out of it? But Bryce was small. Who else?
Yeah,
came out of Alabama?
A.J. McCarron wasn't exactly a giant amongst his.
But at least he was
peers.
like was 6'2" at least though.
I think they gave him 6'2". Honestly,
Okay.
The way they give Tua 6 foot, or 6'1".
But Tua, to his credit, and what's really cool about watching that game, I actually was at the college championship where those two played each other, and I remember telling someone, they were like, "Who are these two quarterbacks?" I was like, "You're going to see these guys in the NFL one day playing against each other." And sure enough, it's like, "Oh yeah."
Well, I mean, I think McDaniel's done a good job knowing that with his injury history, and Tua's one big sack away from having a completely smoothed down brain and like drooling all over the place. Of keeping him in the shotgun. It gives him a little longer to make his reads. It keeps a defense off him, and Miami's invested in the offensive line, which they honestly should have done the year they fucking drafted him. But the biggest thing is for the Dolphins is are they going to be able to keep their foot to the floor getting into the later months of the season, and kind of exercising the demons that kind of plagued them last year against winning teams. They beat up on the teams they should have, and then weren't very competitive against fellow playoff teams.
They had a really tough time playing Jacksonville, which Jacksonville, people love to crap on Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence for some reason, because everything is a statistic, because fantasy football.
And betting.
Yeah, but they're fun. Jacksonville's kind of a fun team to watch.
It's a young team, and that's why it's fun, because you're getting to watch all these, like, and I hate saying baby players, but they're all like second, third, fourth year guys, for the most part, with a smattering of crusty veterans in there, and that's a recipe for success. And Jacksonville's going to be a good team, and it just sucks that they were a doormat for so long. And they play in a
coaching situation.
Oh God! After Coughlin left, it's just been a revolving door of shit.
What team next to the Falcons when what's his name left? Who was the college coach that just kind of left?
Oh, Bobby Petrino.
Yeah. Other than that, I can't think of a team that had another situation with, Urban Meyer in the pros was a nightmare.
Oh, I mean, here's, since we're on this, right? Like, guys like Urban Meyer and Nick Saban and Bobby Petrino all were wildly successful in college, right? There's no more mountains to climb. And they are so successful in the college game. They're like, you know what? Let's go do the exact same thing in the NFL. Well, you know what the NFL has? Grown adults whose very well-being isn't tied to the whims of a coach. So go ahead and be a yeller and a screamer and get in their face. They're just going to be like, all right, bet, dude. I'm getting paid already. After, don't call me after practice, because I will not be picking up the goddamn phone. Like it's grown adults who don't deal well with being treated like fucking shit, and that college stuff does not translate well to the pros, if at all.
It does
not. I think Urban showed that. Like, Saban realized it quick and was like, fuck, I got to get the hell out of Miami and find me another college
Lou
job.
Holtz kind of showed that. I don't know if you remember or were around when Lou Holtz was the coach of the Jets, but he also showed that as well. Now, I want to go down the list of games so you can run down and tell me. Now, the first game of the season was everything you wanted the NFL football game to be, coming down to the last play at the last seconds, literally a quarter inch away from overtime. Tell me about what you learned in the first game.
I think Kansas City is well set up to have a three-peat as Super Bowl
Oof.
champ.
Oof.
They win tough and ugly. They could also
Mhm.
blow you out. Their defense is still, under Spagnuolo has been, very good to phenomenal, depending on how well they play that day. And I think we have seen that Patrick Mahomes is the kryptonite to Lamar Jackson. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a mental thing now. But dude, like he just can't get over the Mahomes hump. And I think Kansas City gave a blueprint to the rest of the Ravens opponents, and this is how we kind of bottle up Lamar, and mitigate the damage, because you can't stop him completely, but you can mitigate
I like
what
that.
he's able to
Yeah.
do. So I mean, again, hats off to Spagnuolo with that defense. And man, Stafford just threw the ugliest fucking pick, man. God damn. Oh, that was bad.
I'm okay with that because when the Broncos can't win, I'm definitely rooting for the Lions, and I'm rooting for the Vikings. We'll give us a second. We're going to get to them. Eagles Packers in Brazil
Yeah.
earlier today. I did do a show. We did a special live stream with Alex Aculi of the Alpha Bunga Bunga cast, where we talked about Brazil with this new Lula, and it was a depressing show. But that being said,
Yeah.
Brazil hosted an NFL game. How was it?
Sloppy as hell. That field was bad. Now, I don't know how you fix that. But we all know that the United States, Canada, and Mexico are hosting the next World Cup. And FIFA rules state that all football has to be played on grass surfaces. So the NFL stadiums that have field turf will be
Mhm.
pulling up the field turf, laying down grass, and then removing the grass for the start of the NFL season and reinstalling the field turf.
That sounds like
It's
there's some sort of environmental problem with that. I'm sure if
dumb as
we
yeah. But yeah, it was a sloppy game. I mean, I
3
knew
touchdowns from can't think of his name right now.
Saquon.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, dude, I knew he was going to be successful in that offense. I figured give him a couple weeks to get warmed up, but he's a perfect addition to that offense. The thing that I think is going to really hurt Philly on offense is the center quarterback relationship. Because you lose one of the
Kelsey.
best centers maybe to ever play football,
Yeah.
in Jason Kelsey, and you go to this other dude. A lot of bad snaps out of the shotgun, a lot of bad snaps. That's something they're going to have to get ironed out, and they've got to, Philly has really got to do something on defense that to keep them viable throughout the whole season. They drafted some just phenomenal players. It's just putting it all together. And, Sirianni had a lot of staff turnover between last season and this season, so I like them. I don't think, this is only the first game. Don't count the Packers out. If Malik Willis can just, say Love is out 4 weeks, if he can go 2-2, and keep the Packers competitive, in the time that Love misses, the Packers can still make the playoffs, because I love Jordan Love. I think especially what he did in the second half of the season last year, he showed that he's got the chops to be a very good to great NFL quarterback.
It's a little heartbreaking that the poor kid is out so early in the season. Because I think the NFC North is going to be a tighter race than people think. And I think that Sam Darnold, with his second time around, truly second time around, you can bounce around as a backup, but when you finally get that Jim Plunkett call, and it's like, hey, dude, you get to start, and you have this thing you've never had around you, which is a talented team. I was reading all the camp notes from that, and Justin Jefferson was just like, oh, Sam Darnold just knows how to, He puts touch on a pass if he needs to. He can rip it when he wants to. Don't forget he can scramble. They blew, and the Giants aren't world beaters, but they did what they were supposed to do.
I'm going to tell you right now, like, the Giants will be the worst team in the league this year. That team,
Worse than the Panthers?
yes, I really believe so, because I trust the coaching of Dave Canales, and I think the Panthers have some talent. I'm sorry, Virtuoso. I'm going to tell you right now, Virtuoso, I don't think he gets the gulag. He just gets the wall.
Look, for all the Giants fans, thank you guys for watching the show. We don't talk Giants a lot. And I don't want to shit on the Giants because, I don't want to shit on any team. It's just not fun. Me and Matt can joke about, Big Ten, Pac-10 BS, but we're not serious we're just joking. But the Giants and Daniel Jones, I remember that first preseason game and everyone was like, oh, hey, maybe we got the successor. And then he played okay in some games. It's like, maybe this is the guy. And now everyone's like, dude, we really shouldn't have re-signed this cat.
There's only one more bigger waste of QB money in the league, and that's in Cleveland. Honestly.
Ooh, more than Russell Wilson?
Oh, hands down. The Deshaun Watson deal already is the worst contract ever handed out in professional football. I know I'm moving ahead, but here's the hard fact, right? For Cleveland fans, Deshaun Watson will hold that team back. Period. He looked fucking lost as shit today.
Yeah.
And he's the weak link. Quarterback play is the one thing that the Browns needed to have to get them over the hump, right? Joe Flacco came off the couch last year and got the Browns in the playoffs, right? You're thinking freaking, that a person of Deshaun Watson's physical capabilities, right? And we're not talking about his massage table antics and what he allegedly did, because I'm using allegedly, people, because I'm not in the mood to get sued, and neither is Jason. Allegedly, it's a good word. It's a good word. But he looks like he can't play football anymore. You've got Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, running backs that have filled in admirably since Nick Chubb's devastating injury. The offensive line's kind of in flux, and it has been the last few years because they've dealt with so many injuries on the O-line.
But world beater defense.
Oh, yes. How? I just need Deshaun Watson at 60% of what he was that last year in Houston, and you've got a fucking winner, man. And he can't even give you that. And you gave him over $200 million guaranteed. No one. I mean, there isn't a fucking team out there. Okay, and I'm talking on the planet that plays American football that would gladly bring on Deshaun Watson and that fucking money. Okay,
but what about
the Berlin?
You think he's worse than Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson got
the Berlin. Yeah, but I'm talking about his contract. Like, I'm just talking in a deal. The two biggest wastes of QB money right now are Daniel Jones and Watson. Wilson's on a $1 million a year contract.
I feel like Kirk Cousins is like, hold my Cavassier.
Oh no, I think Kirk, Cousins went full like, he's drinking Henny now. Like that's all. That's where he's at.
He might be shooting up Oxy at this point because he got his ass kicked.
Yeah, he got rocked. And that's the thing. Atlanta. Georgia's a phenomenal football place to watch football, right? It could be Georgia Tech, it could be Georgia Southern, it could be Georgia State, it could be UGA, it could be the Falcons. Like, they're very, very passionate fan bases there. Great game day environments, right? Mm-hmm. But the Falcons are not close to winning. And they think, well, we play in a very shitty division in the NFC South. We can win this, fuck around, and maybe win a wild card game, right? We just need a QB. Nah, bro. You need an offensive line revamp. You got to figure out how to properly use Kyle Pitts. You know, you've got phenomenal wideouts there now.
Drake London is still I love Drake London. So tough.
Dude, Virtuoso, Cousins. No, he wouldn't do well, especially playing on the lake in December when that wind is like.
I have to ask you. Well, he's from Michigan. He should be able to play in cold weather.
It's not the cold. It's literally the lake effect winds.
He's from Michigan. There's 5 lakes there. Very cold.
Do you know where Cleveland Stadium is? It's in the lake. It's literally in the lake.
Mac, this is to you.
You having an unnatural allegiance to losers is not like you.
Actually, play that for you too for your Sam Darnold love. That was for both of us.
That was Cat Williams descending upon the, the show.
Letting us both know, like, Mac, you love lakes far too much, and Jason, you and your love affair with that white man.
The Saints put a beating on the Panthers, and Bryce Young is a kid that only knows winning. And someone said something. It was, I can't remember who it was. And they said, if you get a good quarterback from a school that didn't win, you have a person that understands adversity and losing. Mm-hmm. And again, my favorite first round. I still think he's the greatest number 1 overall quarterback of all time, John Elway. Number 1 draft pick of all time, John Elway. Stanford was not a winner.
No,
they weren't that. I think he's only got a handful of people that even made it to the league. Maybe even one other Hall of Famer, and I don't know how long he played with James Lofton. Maybe 1 season.
Yeah.
So you're not playing with the same caliber of talent when you take these kids that all they know is winning. Oh, it was Joe Burrow in like one of those podcast shows.
Which
Joe Burrow was like,
he needs to stay off those podcasts. Stop dyeing his hair.
He needs to. I agree.
Get your house in order, bro, because you look like shit today.
but he made a good point. He was like, at LSU, we didn't. He goes, and then at Ohio State, we didn't. There's weeks where you don't really play anybody, where you're worried. That's what they call them, trap games. You don't have trap games in the NFL. Broadcasters say stuff like trap games, but week 1 should let you know this is a league full of professionals.
Yes.
And you can get the brakes beat in by these professionals.
Yeah, and I don't know if Dennis Allen realized he's coaching for his job, this season, but he woke up like ready to do violence. And I know Carolina's a bad team, but it's like he woke up and was like, listen, guys, we are going to beat the shit out of them. And then we're going to go to their locker room and steal all their shit too. Like,
we're taking every phone charger.
Oh, dude, everything.
Just bitch ass shit.
Petty stuff.
We're taking a sock.
Yeah. They went out to the parking lot, the player parking lot, and just put like the fleur de lis on all their cars and shit. They ordered DoorDash to their house, and just left it there.
The only food that they found out they were allergic to.
Yeah, it's just all like heavy in gluten and peanuts.
Beat the bejesus out of them.
Yeah,
and the Saints are walking in the NFC South like, this is our division. Who can even think to challenge us? And in your opinion, who can challenge the Saints in the NFC South? Just Tampa?
It's Tampa.
Who also looked really good.
Dude,
what's his
name?
name?
Again, Mayfield and Evans have just become a great QB wideout tandem. You
Did you see
know,
that touchdown, the
and
first touchdown he threw to him,
Mhm.
where Evans was being held, and he just reached his hands out like this, and the ball just hit him in the hands? That was like the most beautiful long handoff you've ever seen.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know, and I give Mayfield. I give Mayfield a lot of credit because he took a lot of shit in Cleveland. You know, he bounces between Carolina and the Rams, and you know that little audition he had with the Rams, I think, set him up for that first
yeah.
Tampa contract. And then he played phenomenal football last year.
Mhm.
You know, and maybe he's not going to do the same things Brady did. Like Brady, only Tom Brady can do Tom Brady shit, right? The
Agreed.
way Elway can only do Elway shit, and Favre
Agreed.
can only do Favre shit, right? But Mayfield is a guy that showed I can get you 4,000 yards and 30 TDs a year.
Yeah.
Let's run it back, get the defense improved, and let's see what we got. So, I mean, Tampa, honestly, I think the NFC South runs through Tampa. Tampa, unfortunately, seems to like put together a great run and then has like 3 games where they look like they should be playing in the UFL, right? Like it's just something Tampa does. Um, you know, and you know, that comes with, you know, coach turnover, uh, you know, new pieces and all that, you know, but it is what it is, man. But I really think the NFC South is going to come down to Tampa and New Orleans, because like I don't think the Falcons are anywhere near being contenders. And the Panthers are what I am going to be nice and just call them a doormat rather than just going in on them.
Two teams I want you to tell me about real quick. What did you learn from the Patriots, and what did you learn from the Steelers?
The Pats are going to live and die off their run game. And I think that's
Are you
smart.
okay with that?
Yeah, dude, if I'll tell you right now, if Jared Mayo came out and said, "All right, Pats Nation, we're running the wing T option." Okay, fuck it, let's go. You know, play to your strengths. The offensive line looked good. Ramondre Stevenson had a great game. You know, Antonio Gibson was there to spell him. And honestly, the wideouts for New England scare nobody, like at all.
No.
The only real pass catchers we have are going to be at tight end with Hooper and Henry. You know, but I mean, the New England defense, that's not the issue. It wasn't the issue last year. It was letting Matt Patricia and fucking the special teams knucklehead that got fired and, you know, former Giants head coach, call plays and just completely ruin Mac Jones. So, you know, but like the Steelers, dude, I don't know what Mike Tomlin's going to do, because Fields didn't have a great day. They have people that can catch the ball.
I thought Russell Wilson was the starter.
Wilson had a calf injury, dude. So Fields got the start.
He had a calf injury game, because I came in late, so I missed what happened. He had a calf injury late?
No, he had a calf injury late in preseason. After he was named the starter, you know, they said he came up lame. He was getting treatment. So Tomlin said, "Hey, Fields is going to start this game."
I thought he was still going to start. I heard that. I didn't think it was a serious thing.
Yeah. Well, when you got a 35-year-old QB who could barely move in the pocket, you know, you don't want to send him out there with a fucked up calf. Look at case in point, Joe Burrow. You know, last season, when you can't push off, you're not going to be able to throw a ball properly, you know? But yeah, quarterback play, it looks like it's going to be an issue for the Steelers, which is going to torpedo their chances. If Fields doesn't really like grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, and fuck it into submission, you know, like there's, you know, it's going to be a long season for Steelers fans. You know, they still have.
They won today, and you're already predicting it's going to be rough for them.
With bad quarterback play, absolutely. You know, I mean, the thing is maybe Fields had a case of the nerves or some shit, right? You know, that could very well be the case. And if he starts next week, maybe he fucking has a phenomenal game.
Can we see what his line was? Let's look at what his line was. 17 to 23 for 156. Let's see here.
Yeah, he hit
14 carries for 57 yards. That's a lot of carries.
Yeah.
And Najee had 20 for 70. So they were just 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Kirk Cousins, 16 for 26, 1 touchdown, 2 picks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. You've got Cousins is 36 or 37 coming off a devastating injury. Like the Achilles tendon is not something you could really pop back from and be like, hey, I'm great. Like it's a devastating injury. And, we all know Father Time wins every fucking time. He's undefeated. And, when you have an injury like an Achilles injury, that is hard to come back from. Now, I'm not saying, G Unit Kurt isn't going to fucking come back and just ball out of his mind once he gets his conditioning down, once he gets more comfortable. But dude, Atlanta's just not built to win now. They're not. They've got some very intriguing and talented pieces, but that team is not built to win yet.
Well, let's talk about a team that people had high hopes for about 3 seasons ago, and now I feel like people have soured on. They made it interesting against the Bills, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I give them a lot of props just for keeping it competitive against the Bills. I mean, even losing Diggs, right? You still have Josh Allen, who is a top 3 quarterback in the league, who maybe he does try and do too much and he has the turnover issues he has, right? But, he can put the team on his back and win games. Kyler Murray, I think, has a lot of kind of making up to do because, he had such a hot start to the beginning of his career and then spent 2 years hurt, essentially.
Marvin Harrison Jr. had 1 catch for 4 yards in his debut.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. And like Drake London kind of dealt with some games like that. Wideout is a rough adjustment. It's a very rough adjustment when you're coming up from college, right? This is his first look at the pro game. So like maybe he comes back. I mean, and also Murray, he's kind of a king of a check down. He gets out of the pocket. He's going to throw to what's open. And a lot of times that's a running back and a tight end. But it's the Cardinals have the talent. Let's just see if they can put it all together. And maybe make a run in the West. Because like what the NFC West is going to be the Niners,
Yes.
But the Cardinals, maybe they fuck around and earn a wild card spot. Who knows, man? Weirder things have happened the last few years in the NFL. So
the Texans made it close today with the Colts. What is your takeaway from the Colts?
Jonathan Taylor, they need to. I think they've really got to get him back into the offense. He was kind of the straw that stirred the drink for a couple years, and then he had his own injury.
Yeah,
excuse me, guys. That he's dealing with, but I mean, he ended up with like 40 yards,
48 yards and a touchdown. Yeah,
like at one point he was bandied about as the best running back in the NFL. So, I would lean on that.
That injury was an MFer for him. I mean, I'm looking at CJ Stroud's line I have on the screen here. 24 of 32 for 234 and 2 touchdowns. It's a great line. Yeah. Joe Mixon, 30 carries for 159 and a touchdown. That's the line of a winning team. The Houston Texans are a legitimate contender.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that goes to Coach Ryans, like hands down. That was a dude who slid into coaching shortly after he retired. And And he just, dude, look at what he did last season. Like, he had those guys ready to play when Houston was supposed to be like trash, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, there's going to be close games. This is the NFL. There's going to be 1 and 2 point wins, and then there's also going to be blowouts. But it's, do you win those close games? When you're down, can you claw back into the game? And I think Houston's ready. Like, I'm with you. I think that could be a contender. But again, the AFC runs through Kansas City, and until somebody can knock them off, no, you can't argue otherwise. Like,
C. Mills says Anthony Richardson has a cannon. C.
he
Mills, I
does.
will respond to that by saying Anthony Richardson has a cannon like if like you gave dudes from, like, how cats from the hood always do that. They do this thing now. They like pretend like they're holding the gun. They hold it all cool. Like, that's Anthony Richardson's cannon. It's the sideways gun. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about him hitting the target.
Yeah, I mean, he's got work to do, and that comes with getting snaps. And when you
Did you
only
hear
have,
what he said?
no, I didn't. What do you say?
This is why after he said this, I was like, oh, F that guy. He goes, oh man, the pros are easy. This is easier than college. Yes. Unquote. Sideways.
Yeah, that
Two
might be
sideways. He's got
that
two
might be
sideways.
upside down, pulling the trigger with his pinky. Like, that's nonsense.
I have the Chargers Raiders game up because of, I live here in Mexico, where a lot of Chargers and Raiders fans come down for the holiday, and it's cooler here than it is in Southern California. This is our heat wave season in California this time of year, and it's cooler this year than it was last year, but it's beautiful right now. To me, the people that are complaining, like, stop complaining. This is a beautiful time of year. Anyway, there were Chargers and Raiders fans in the bar watching the game, and it was, for the most part, a low-scoring affair. The Chargers played, to me, like a Jim Harbaugh team, so I can imagine a lot of San Diego fans not being used to seeing that, because historically, even though San Diego, we can go back to the 70s with Chuck Muncie, San Diego has had some really good running backs.
Yeah.
I think James Brooks starts his career in San Diego.
Yeah, and those years with Stan Humphries as QB, they had a revitalized Natron Means, as well as Leonard Russell. Remember,
Butts.
Russell was, so there was,
they've traditionally had really good running backs. Of course, LaDainian Tomlinson. But watching them play this type of game, where it's not going to be a shootout, but a defensive battle, and then Macadocious, on my way back to Mikasa, I'm listening to AM radio, and I'm stuck in traffic, and that dude JT the Brick is on. I've never heard a worse person talk about football. Actually, any sport. He could talk about his kid's t-ball, and it would be horrible. Like, that dude sucks.
Yeah.
His whole thing was that the Raiders didn't play that well, and the Chargers aren't very good. I was like, the Chargers are really good. Why would you say that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of good players on the Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard. It's Jim Harbaugh football. Mistake-free quarterback play, leaning on the run, very good defense, right? And let's face it, I, as a fan of football, I pitied, the Gardner Minshew the third, because Bosa and Mac just pinning their ears back and going after him.
Oof. They beat the shit. Hey, Gardner Minshew for for Las Vegas is a good quarterback, I think.
Yeah.
Again, San Diego is just that good.
Yeah.
You know what JT the Brick said? What the problem was? Gardner Minshew didn't throw the ball to Devontae enough.
Oh, okay, cool. When you're running for your life, it's gonna be hard to throw the ball to Devontae Adams. And here's the thing: this is where the Raiders and the Davis family and their inept front office fucked up. You know that this is going to be a bridge year, right? Until yeah. Why aren't you going out and signing a guy like Ryan Tannehill? At least he can get the ball down the field to Devontae Adams. You know who can't? Gardner fucking Minshew or the other stiff, Adrian O'Connell, that they decided to keep on the roster. You know, it's like the front office was like, man, we played really well under Coach Pierce. But how can we fuck Coach Pierce in the long run?
He is a black coach for the Raiders. We have to make sure we give him the worst talent possible.
Mark Davis is like, you know what my dad would do? He would slash his tires and then make sure Gardner Minshew was the starter. Huh?
Dude, for a while, the Raiders look, because both games are on televisions next to each other. So I'm keeping an eye on that game. But I have to admit, as good as the Raiders defense is, and it's good.
Yeah.
Raiders defense is good. I think that they're not ready for first year Harbaugh. First year Harbaugh is a different kind of animal.
Yeah.
And go ask Pete Carroll.
Let's face it, Harbaugh, and I detest the man. I deeply hate John Harbaugh. Jim, I would have a beer with, if only to tell him, you know, hey man, you've had a great career coming from a special teams coach, but keep in mind you run a team that stole it from another city that I love far more than I love Baltimore. You know, but like John Harbaugh, that man, I just want to like shit in a bag, light it on fire, and ring his doorbell. You know, like I can't stand John Harbaugh. But you can't argue the way he just fucking wins. He wins, man. Is his style of football flashy? Absolutely not. But he wins football games. That's what John Harbaugh does.
But we're talking about Jim here.
Or that's what I meant, Jim. Jim Harbaugh just fucking wins. University
Jim Harbaugh, look, what he did in San Francisco.
Dude, what he did in San Diego, University of San Diego.
Oh my God. Team. Josh Johnson is still in the NFL because of Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. You know, and then he picked Stanford up and was just like, hey,
oh my God,
you have sucked long enough. Let's start winning.
That run. Can we admit that the Stanford run? Do you remember who the quarterback was for Stanford the year Harbaugh came in?
Hold on.
Because it wasn't Andrew Luck.
Nope.
Tavita Pritchard.
And they had
Richard Sherman and Baldwin, Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, but the running back, that big bruiser.
Toby Gerhart.
Yeah, Toby
was
Gerhart.
He on that team?
Wasn't he? He was there. Wasn't he there for Harbaugh's like first year or two?
Yeah, I think that was. If it wasn't Gerhart, it was the other dude. They had a black dude before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Toby Gerhart, who actually led the NCAA in rushing and didn't win the Heisman.
Yeah. You know, so like it just Harbaugh puts together teams that play smart football, that don't
that tight end run that they went on, where all those tight ends were. Look, though, watching what he did at Stanford with a bunch of doctors, lawyers, and congressmen, and a bunch of people that will make all of our lives miserable.
Yeah.
And make them beat one of the most dominant football schools at that moment, which was USC. USC was just obliterating everybody, and that team was stacked with NFL day one starters, first and second team. Beat them, I think, in LA, and then you get Andrew Luck, and then you start getting all this other talent that later goes on to the league, and he only coached there for what, a year?
Where at?
Stanford.
No, he was there longer than a year.
2 years, maybe?
Here.
It wasn't long. How long was he there?
He was at Stanford for
2 years?
2007 to 2010.
Okay, 3 years. He's only there for 3 years. Turns that school into a legitimate Pac-12 contender.
Yep.
Where you're going to get real talent coming in. But also you got to remember when you're at Stanford, and Coach Will can tell you this, there's a small handful of schools that tell you we can't get the top 5 recruits, maybe even the top 10, maybe even the top 20 recruits, because you have to get into the school.
Yeah, you have to be accepted.
You have to be academically eligible. So we're missing out on a lot of good players every year because of who we are. And you're taking that kind of school and you're beating breaks off of USC, which again is filled with day one NFL starters. And if that was your USC beat the brakes off of Ohio State. Remember that?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, Jim Harbaugh then goes to San Francisco with a extremely shell-shocked Alex Smith. That the NFL was just not kind to him. And that team, a lot of people were like, and they get to an NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Alex Smith goes, and you get a young Colin Kaepernick, who wasn't a first-round pick for a lot of people because he played at a little school in a weird system. And Colin Kaepernick runs all over everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, Harbaugh knew what he had in Kaepernick, right? And he's like, I know there's going to be mistakes, but the thing is, he's going to make up for it with what he's able to do with his feet. And he did it, And that's like, again, I hate saying anything nice about him, but he builds programs to have a sustained run. And, there's a lot of Michigan fans that are going to give him shit because for a lot of years, he couldn't get over the Ohio State hump, but he was still winning 9-10 games a year. And if you as a college football fan cannot be happy with 9-10 wins, you're wrong. Like, that's that's a phenomenal season.
And then look what he did on his way out.
Yeah.
I was going to win the national championship.
And not just win the national title, but fucking bludgeon TCU. Like, phenomenal. Phenomenal head coach.
So first year Jim Harbaugh is a force to be reckoned with. And San Diego, I'm just going to keep calling them San Diego.
Yeah, that's fine. They should still be there.
Even though they're in LA, they're still kind of a smaller market team in the sense of they're the Clippers of football right now. And
they're going to continue to be the Clippers of football.
You're going to sneak up on a lot of people. And guess what, Harbaugh, I guarantee, just like he did at Stanford, just like he did in San Francisco, just like he did at Michigan. Hey, guys, you really want to win? You got to beat the Chiefs. Unlike 15 years ago, I'm going to keep my fucking mouth shut about it. But our goal here is to beat the brakes off the Chiefs. And that's going to be your ticket into the playoffs. And possibly even a home game. Because that let's just be honest. You can beat the Raiders with a subpar performance from Justin Herbert and a good running game.
Yeah.
You know what that means to me as a football fan? When it's time for Justin Herbert to make a play, you're the most frightening team in the league because Justin Herbert's going to make a play. He is a legitimate playmaker with his feet or his arm. And if the running game is there and the defense is there, you don't need to throw for 300 yards. Life ain't Madden.
Yeah. And honestly,
that line he has to me is a line of a winner.
Yeah. Oh, dude, they're road graders. There's a reason Harbaugh went to the front office and said, "Get me a left tackle." Right. He's like, "I'm good with everything I got. I need a bigger, better offensive line, and then we'll make Justin Herbert's life a million times easier."
Oh my God. Justin Herbert's not going to throw for 1,000,000 yards this year. He's not going to throw for 1,000,000 touchdowns this year. I guarantee he probably won't be that efficient in the sense of like he won't get those, crazy numbers. But you will get? First downs when it counts.
Yeah. First downs when it counts. The big play when you need it. The great thing is you know, Harbaugh can identify talent.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at that. So maybe you're not getting like the first round big name wideouts, but he's going to find somebody in the 5th round.
Oh, Jerry Rice's son.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, maybe they get a wild card this year, but like, I'm with you. Harbaugh builds winners, and it's going to come down to, Chargers, Chiefs, just winning a slog, like that's just how I can see it going. And, it hurts me to say that because he's Jim fucking Harbaugh, but the guy,
He's Jim Harbaugh, and
yeah.
he's a problematic individual, and we can't sit here and act like he's not, and he can't act like what happened in San Francisco didn't happen. But again, Lad McConkey, I watched that touchdown pass.
Yeah, and see, here's my thing with Lad McConkey. I had a discussion with someone at a bar that said he would be better than Cooper Kupp. And I said, up until last season, Cooper Kupp has been the epitome of staying healthy. Mm-hmm. You could never say that about Lad McConkey, ever. That dude has missed time. Small. Yeah, he's always missed time during a season. So I was like, that in itself should poke a hole in your argument, but he was a UGA fan, so there really was no arguing with the guy. He was just going to keep sucking McConkey's dick until he got a face full of goo, and he walk off happy.
You're filled with some winners today, dude.
Hey, man. Hey, but it's just McConkey could be a nice piece, but that's not a dude that like you depend on.
No.
No. But, like I said, Harbaugh's going to find his type of players. He's going to build his type of team. And then we'll see if Jim Harbaugh, the egomaniac that he is, and let's face it, every head coach is an egomaniac.
Yep.
If he can step out of the way of, Jim Harbaugh, the coach, and not like get into a pissing match with the front office and have a behind the scenes power struggle again, that will ruin any kind of headway or momentum he develops with the team, because like he can't go running back to college football now. He's got a 4-year show cause penalty attached to his name. So
let's move on to talk about Chicago and Caleb Williams. What did you think of his debut?
Dude, it is what it is, man. It wasn't pretty, but they got the dub. That in itself is what counts. There's going to be growing pains with a rookie quarterback. Now, what the Bears can do is they've given him every single tool to be successful this season. Like once he gets warmed up, once he gets acclimated, but keep playing good defense and run the damn ball to take some of the pressure off him. Like I got it. The kid is phenomenally talented, but he's in a position where he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. Like he's expected to save Chicago football, right? And dude,
that's why
I don't wish that on anybody.
Opening. That's why I had that in my opening, because when I think of Chicago, which is a magical city, Chicago is one of those magical cities, right? I love Chicago. It's a great food town. People are kind of awesome there. Love Chicago. Cubs, Sox, the Bulls, right? Blackhawks.
Yep.
Great music venues in Chicago. Like there's nothing not to like about Chicago.
Except White Sox fans. That's what I don't like about Chicago.
I'll take your word. I've never had a bad run-in with a White Sox fan.
Well, I'm a Guardians fan, and you got to remember during the early 90s and that big Cleveland run, those two, man, it was oil and water.
Well, yeah. But when you think about the quarterback position for the Bears, historically, they've never really had that guy.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, dude, you got to think probably the most beloved and most positively talked about QB that Chicago has been Jim McMahon.
And that wasn't a long run in Chicago.
No.
And Mike Ditka made that run shorter than it should have been.
Yeah. Let's face it, McMahon at best was a journeyman.
Yeah.
He bounced around a lot of years after he
Yeah.
left Chicago, and they've just had a revolving door. Like the two franchises that have been undone by poor quarterback play in our lifetime. No bullshit. Cleveland, Chicago.
Easy.
I'd hate to
Easy.
see the enterprising Chicago fan that gets the jersey that has all the names of every QB that's been under center, like the dude in Cleveland did.
Just in the last 20 years. Don't even go back there. Just go back 20 years.
But like you got to think like Cade McNown was supposed to be the savior. He was
supposed to be the guy. Rex Grossman. They went to the Super Bowl. Rex Grossman.
Yeah, and I honestly think that had more that team had more in common with like the '80s Chicago Bears. Definitely. Big defense, good running game.
Yeah,
the QB was just there to get the snap and hand the ball off.
Do the Bears they had the Jay Cutler moment real quick where you thought maybe they could do it, and then that didn't happen.
Yep.
I would love to see them build something because it's not just Caleb. They got Romeo Odunze, which I really like as well.
And they also have DJ Moore came over.
DJ Moore is really good. That was a great pickup from that trade. And it looks to me like the Bears can be one of those teams where check them out in a couple years and maybe they're playing for a chip.
Yeah. I mean, they need time to get everything to gel. That's just the long and short of it. And you also want to see what Caleb can do over a full season. And I'm not talking this year. This year's going to be rough just because it's his first year and you're putting him out there under the gun, and, like I said, you're going to have bad moments with Caleb Williams this year. Mm-hmm. And that's because he's a rookie and he's going to make rookie mistakes.
I'm willing to take, if I'm a Bears fan, I'm a football fan first. I am willing to watch bad Caleb Williams moments because there will be greatness.
Yes, there will be great moments that come with it. Yep.
Go back. Look, again, I'm a huge Elway fan, and my kids know this because they unfortunately grew up in the era of the internet where I could find all these videos. Go back and watch like old Elway games, his rookie season. He threw a lot of picks.
Yeah,
a lot of picks.
Favre did the same thing, right? And you just get that with quarterbacks like that. But what happened to Elway as he got older and learned the game a little more? Dude, he became a pretty proficient quarterback, right?
A beast. Yeah.
He got smarter. He knew when to check down or just throw the ball away. But like when you're a young dude, and I don't give a shit what you could be a young CPA, you're going to do young CPA shit. Like, well, I didn't throw this addendum on there so just to save our client, a couple $1,000, like that's what young people do. But, give them a couple years, let them get acclimated to the pro game, and, that's how it goes, and it's going to be fun. I think players like Caleb Williams and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are phenomenal for the game.
I'll say this much about Lamar. And I don't like to be right about this. Man, oh man, did he have an open receiver before that last play of the game?
Mm-hmm.
He threw. So it was like, oh, duder.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, honestly, I'm going to go ahead and say this. So if we have any Ravens fans in the audience, I think at this point, it might be time for the ownership group and the front office to really look if John Harbaugh is the guy to get you over the hump.
Ooh. It's 2 Super Bowls.
I got it. I understand.
In 20 years.
Yeah. You know what I mean? At a certain point, are you getting the returns you want? And if the answer to that is no, then you need to go in another direction. And that's okay. But that happens.
They're in the playoffs every year. You have this electric quarterback who is a wide receiver killer.
Yeah.
Can we say that now? Or we're not allowed to?
No, I mean there's some truth to that. Like honestly, for all his gifts, I don't know what it is with him and the wideouts that Baltimore drafts. They do not seem to build rapport well.
Yeah.
The only pass catching weapon he seems to have really clicked with is Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
And I don't
And this
know if
new
that's
young
just
kid, this new young tight
yeah,
end.
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers is
But
great.
yeah. But it maybe it's just you know, I don't know, but he doesn't build rapport with wideouts well. And I don't know, like that, like I said, I think at this point, yeah, you make the playoffs every year. A lot of first round exits in that one, man. Or their first playoff game exit. Because a lot of times they get, they catch the bye, and then they go into that first playoff game and they lose. See, at that point, like it's kind of like the argument with Mike Tomlin. He's never had a losing season. Cool. 9-8 is not cool. If you, you know what I mean? Like we can't do
Because you're not
8-8
drafting
anymore.
high.
Yeah,
It's hard to rebuild when you're in the middle.
And on top of it, it's player development. Like when you had a quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger when he was healthy. Okay, I'm not talking the last few years, Ben Roethlisberger, where he kind of had like Peyton Manning syndrome, where my body's failing. My mind says to be out here, but my body will not do anything I tell it to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can get away with stuff, but see now you can't. You have got to develop talent wherever you like. That's the most important job for a coaching staff. It's not just schemes. It's developing the talent that you draft where you drafted at. And it just seems like Pittsburgh doesn't do that well.
Can we move on to?
Yeah.
Or are we going to finish the thought? I'm sorry.
No, I mean that was pretty much where it was going. But like, Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh are wildly successful head coaches and have been for almost 2 decades at their respective teams. But at a certain point, you're playing in this league to win championships, right? If you're not winning them, you might have to start looking at other coaching options. You've got to look at anything to become a to get those chances to win championships. And it's a rough business, especially when you're comfortable, when that person's been ingrained in the community so long.
Yeah.
Like I get it. That's rough. But at a certain point, sometimes you got to pull that trigger, like look at New England with Belichick.
Yeah.
It
is weird seeing a different person there, but like everything about that is weird. Like if you've ever spent time in the Northeast and you know how racist it is, see a black quarterback.
Dude, most of his staff are younger black dudes.
Again, that's why everything about it, it's like when the Celtics won that championship with the black team. I was like, I want to hate it because I hate the Celtics, but do the Boston people like it? Because
there's a whole generation of like Boston fans that are dead and just rolling over in their graves. Like what in the name of Bob Cousy's going on?
Why do we sound like Southerners? That's how much hate we have in our hearts. I do want to ask you this because we're coming up on the second hour, and I know you have to go. Deion Sanders continues to be a polarizing figure in college football. How do we assess his coaching abilities, and how much of his success is tied to his son, Shedeur Sanders?
Well, first I want to say thank you for this, just tossing that softball out to me, because I've got a lot to say about this.
I know.
It's great that he's managed to bring eyeballs to a program that has been a perennial doormat since probably New Heisel left, right?
Yeah.
But year one, he comes in and says, I'm revamping this team. I'm going to hit this transfer portal. I'm going to fill it in with this talent, that I brought with me from Jackson State. and we're going to get to a bowl, and then bam, they go 4-8. They have shown that their offensive line is trash. Their running back room isn't that great, and Shedeur Sanders essentially, carried them to those 4 wins. Now, there's never been a Heisman Trophy winner who was on a team that had more than 4 losses. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Shedeur Sanders is not going to win the Heisman. And if his dad continues to coach poorly, and he's shown little to no coaching acumen as far as development goes, which again, I will harp at every level of every sport, player development is your primary job. And Travis Hunter, who I would argue is the best player in the country, is not going to win the Heisman either, even though he should. Now, Hunter is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Shedeur Sanders is phenomenally talented. I'm not trying to knock that young man, but Deion is going to get him killed by running the offense he runs with that shitty of an offensive line. Now, I get it. The transfer portal is very important now. I think it should be. I think it's great that players have the opportunity to continue to move and find a system that they're comfortable with. But you can't keep replacing 50 players every year in the transfer portal. You have got to be able to recruit. You have to be able to do it. And Deion Sanders is failing miserably on that, on that end. So I figured, yes, he's a very brash person. He's a very, he's cocky. He's always been that way. I figured after his first year and how poorly that went, he would have maybe pumped the brakes on some of his prognostications. But saying that Colorado would be in the mix for the Big 12, I laughed my ass off when I heard that come out of his mouth during the media days, because Colorado is not even going to a bowl game. They're having trouble with, granted, it's an FCS powerhouse in North Dakota State, but it's still an FCS team. They had trouble putting them away. They got their shit pushed in by the Nebraska Cornhuskers. It was not even a competitive game. And you think that when they hit the Big 12 chunk of the schedule, come on, man. Like, they're gonna be a doormat. The other 3 Pac-12 teams that meandered over to the Big 12 have a much better shot of competing for the Big 12 title than Colorado does. Colorado's poorly coached. It's fucking poorly prepped. And for me, it's like, how long does the Colorado administration decide, we're going to ride the Deion train? Because, like, this year isn't going to go well. I can see after year 3 them just saying, you know what, this is not working. Unless he has a big year 3. And by big year 3, I mean like 8-4, get to a decent bowl game,
But they're still selling tickets.
Yeah, but the thing is, dude, they're selling tickets. You're absolutely right. But you know what else has been slowly filling up with anti-Deion sentiment? Every Colorado fan board. Every fucking one of them. Right? Football fans may not know, like, all the nooks and crannies, all the intricacies, but you know what we do know? A good product when it's on TV put in front of us. And it is not a good product in Boulder. That is a shit team. And, I don't think it's not going to get any better this year. Like, that's the honest to God truth. And then you have teams, which I'm going to go ahead and just say this now. Notre Dame is the Dallas Cowboys of collegiate football, where they're perennially talked about as being great and in line to win something, and then they piss it all away. And
Well, let me ask you this then, because there is a friend of show that is a huge sports fan. I won't say their name. And sent an email on this email server, listserv, and said, "Uh-oh, is it time? What's the guy's name? James Franklin to get the Tyrone Willingham treatment."
Oh, you mean Marcus Freeman?
Marcus Freeman, sorry.
Yeah, Franklin's at Penn State.
Sorry. All those names sound really black to me.
Jason's like, all black people look the same to me. Okay,
all black people and their names. But Notre Dame, kind of like Stanford in a certain regard when it comes to like who gets in the school and who they can actually recruit. Is that going to happen to Notre Dame now with this big loss by NIU?
I mean, the thing is Marcus Freeman has put up some very good recruiting classes. And the thing that's kind of like crushing his balls is that he always manages every season that he's been in South Bend. He drops one game where he's like a 25-point favorite. And like, you can't do that at Notre Dame, man. And this is what, I'm going to go ahead and just get this out, right? I don't know where Notre Dame fans get off like thinking that they're an important part of the college football like world now. You haven't won a title since Lou Holtz was the head coach. You've only been mildly competitive for a handful of seasons in the last like 20. And your most successful one, your star linebacker got catfished, and then you got your shit pushed in by Alabama. Like,
God damn, did you have to bring up the catfishing?
Yes, I did.
You know what's sad? I think if that kid doesn't go to Notre Dame and goes to SC like he was supposed to, like a good Polynesian, his career is very different. Well, I think if he went to Boise State, his career would have been very different.
I mean, Utah. Manti Te'o was a serviceable linebacker for like 8 years. He had a good career. Like if you can last 8 years in the league, you did something right. But he wasn't going to be a world beater. He was an inside linebacker, and when he got to the pros, he showed that he didn't move very well side to side. And, that takes you off the field for, it only keeps you on the field for 2 plays out of 4, so he kind of became like a, he did his job. I'm not going to knock the guy for that. You pipe down. It's bid. Expanded playoff came out and said, yeah, when the expanded playoff came out and said, yeah, 4 first-round buys, you have to win your conference. You can't a 5th seed, and they can't be higher than a 5th seed. And it's like, dude, join a conference. Join a fucking conference.
Notre Dame. I think your Cowboys analogy is the nail on the head. Who is the most? Because again, I know your time is limited. Who is the most, in your opinion, overrated school right now?
Okay.
In the 2 weeks that you've seen, and who is the most underrated school right now that you think can sneak in?
Overrated, and I know I'll probably catch some shit for this. I think it's Bama.
I feel you on that.
I like what Kalen DeBoer brings, because Kalen DeBoer is another one of those coaches that just wins everywhere, which goes to tell you how well he develops talent and how well he coaches. But I think Bama kind of got a handout with their preseason ranking based off what they did last year, if that's fair. There is going to be drop off when you do like an administrative handoff, right? When Saban steps away and Kalen DeBoer comes in, you're going to have some changes and there's going to be some hiccups, and that's okay. It's just hard to deal with hiccups in the SEC, right? Because like one conference loss can put you out of the conference title game, which could then adversely affect where you fall in the playoff. I think it'll be a little easier for them to deal with this year because of the expansion. I just think maybe, I don't know. I just feel they're a little overrated this year. Now, if you're talking a sneaky team, I'm going to go more well known. I think Tennessee
Really?
Yes. I love their QB Iamaliava. He finally has the reins all to himself at QB, and he led the beat down on the NC. The Saints beat down the Saints beat down a lot of beat this weekend. But if we're looking like maybe a little smaller, but still kind of like in the Power Four, Arizona, I think has a phenomenal chance to kind of like make their to make show that they belong in a stable Power Four conference, because let's face it, the last 10 years for the Pac-12 they weren't what you were called stable.
And Arizona and Arizona State were kind of the anchor schools that kind of held the Pac-12 down.
Yeah.
But with that recruiting class, but 3-4 years ago, where you bring in the quarterback and that receiver, and there's another player that I guess they all went to the same high school.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool considering the movement that we see nowadays. Even if you do well, case in point, Ohio State's quarterback going to Syracuse. Yeah.
Oh,
can you
Kyle
explain
McCord?
that
Yeah.
move?
Well, I mean, the thing is, the way that Ryan Day cut his teeth under Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly's back with Ryan Day as the offensive. Like, I was shocked when Chip Kelly resigned as head coach at UCLA to go take an offensive coordinator position under his former player and one, his protege. But like Ohio State's offense, ever since Urban Meyer got on campus, like it was predicated on a mobile quarterback because there was a lot of RPO involved, and Kyle McCord couldn't do that. And like, I'm not going to sit here and shit on Kyle McCord. I think that's fucked up. He's a kid that had to walk into some big shoes, replacing CJ Stroud. And, he had an okay year, but when Ohio State fans, we expect national titles every fucking year. Right. And I would love to see a national title every year. I know that's not realistic. I do. Georgia fans kind of learned that the hard way too. Like, they finally got over that drought. Winning 2 in a row is rough. Trying to do 3, fucking impossible, right? But McCord had a rough, and he's not an in your face kind of guy. He's not a rah-rah kind of guy. So that kind of bit him in the ass, right? Like, in that Ohio State fans, and honestly sports writers in general, just didn't care for him. Well, go transfer to Syracuse. There's no expectation there. Syracuse is
But does that hurt your draft stock? I mean, granted, look, I know the only Syracuse quarterback I can think of isn't Donovan McNabb a Syracuse guy?
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of in the last first round pick in the last gajillion years.
It was him and Jeff George.
Jeff George went to Illinois.
Oh, it was Illinois. I just remember orange.
Same colors.
Sorry,
yeah,
everybody.
Jeff George went to Illinois.
Yeah, I apologize.
But I can't think of anybody that came out of Syracuse, the Big East in general, which I don't think is a conference anymore.
It is. It's a basketball conference. All the old Big East Catholic schools got back together and bought the rights to the name to set it back up.
I can't think of a Big East school who produced a quarterback, and I get you want to go there, and scouts are going to look at you. If you're good, you're good.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to me to see that move. He's not the only person to do that. The backup at USC, who was like the top recruit coming out, transferred to Boise, where he's not even starting at Boise.
Yeah, well, the thing is, when he got on campus, he did not do well in spring practice.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he banged a white chick. Because that's not good.
Well, in his defense, aren't there only white chicks in Boise?
You can't bang them because that's not. There's rules there, and the rules are the Mormon rules, and you can't go around,
Boise's not
sticking
run by
your
the
wick
Mormons.
all in everybody's candles.
Boise
Huh?
State's a state school. It's not run by the Mormons the way BYU is.
I would not try to go around there helicoptering my junk if I was at Boise State. Keep that shit under wraps, young man. That's why all these black dudes come back married at like 21. You're like, dude, you went to Boise State and got married. It's like the only way I could fuck Rebecca.
Yeah, that's fair.
Was it worth it? She can cook.
She's been doing squats too, so there's a little bit to grab onto now.
She's a trad wife, so have you ever had an Oreo from scratch?
I get my from scratch Oreos with my unpasteurized milk.
By the way, I think I have dysentery, and that's really why I haven't started. And
my intestinal worms have climbed up into my brain, so that's something Robert Kennedy and I have in common.
Like, can you imagine all these Negroes from like and shit, and white boys alike, like from like SoCal and like Washington State and the fucked up parts of Nevada, going to these schools and just coming back home like, nah, man, I can only date a traditional woman. I don't know why you guys are messing with these heathen bitches listening to Sexy Red. No, I don't mess with any of that. Sorry, sir.
You get a dude from like Cleveland that ends up at like Wyoming or Boise State, and he comes back home on break, and he's like, everybody's like, yo, man, what do you think about like Kendrick dropping all those fucking tracks about Drake? You're like, Kendrick? Have you heard some of the country music we have now? Like, what?
I know it's a little out of my fucking comfort zone, but we went to a Luke Bryan concert the other day. I know he's secular. I know. But really, man, there's something about it touches my soul. And, Marjorie likes it. And she makes cheese afterwards. And I don't know if you've read Marjorie's cheese.
Marjorie's cheese is to die for.
Oh, my God.
Now, I see you guys are wearing a lot of like Jordans. Check out these snakeskin cowboy boots I have.
She made them.
She killed the snakes.
I don't know where this bitch finds time, because she's also raising all her kids, because we can't even wear condoms, and I'm just shooting everywhere, guys.
Just load after load.
She won't let me masturbate. She literally saw me. She caught me one day. I was like, and then she said, no, don't waste it. It's the Lord's juice. That's where I'm at with my life, guys. I don't know where you guys are with yours. Take it easy. I'm gonna go babysit my 15 children now.
Dude, aren't you like a sophomore in college? Yeah, but she's pregnant with my fourth.
We're a small family. What are you gonna do?
It's a good thing we have that NIL now. I had to buy it. I had to buy a van. Can you guys believe it? A van.
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns.
Just the thing is, we have like a former player from Boise that's watching this, that's just sitting in his chair like,
I only have 3 kids, you motherfuckers.
I thought these guys were cool. Oh,
these Mickey Fickies.
Mormon God is gonna strike them dead.
Well, they're both alone.
Oh my God. But I want to throw this out here too. I think the team that was underprepared for their move to the Power Conference was SMU. Rhett Lashley against the American. Offensive genius. Two games in an ACC non-conference schedule. Holy shit. Guy looks lost. He's standing on the sidelines with his hands on his hips. Like, I don't even know what to do right now. Like, what the God. Guys, is ULM still on the schedule, coach? No. No.
Is ULM still?
And then we had our first Pitbull night at FIU. They seem to be having a lot of fun at those games, which Okay.
He really did buy that stadium?
Bought the naming rights, yeah.
Or the naming rights? I'm sorry.
And he's also heading their NIL collective, and he's now an official brand ambassador of FIU.
I mean, Pitbull needs to go to a Mormon school.
He might have too much fun there. Pitbull strikes me as a dude that in any situation can find a way to turn it into a party. You know?
Yeah. Even Bible study.
Yeah. You know,
I could see him spiking the Bible study lemonade.
Oh, dude, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have Pitbull around my mom or girlfriend.
Him and Zach Wilson are not allowed around any female I'm
Can you
related
imagine
to.
Pitbull and Zach Wilson doubling up on your girlfriend?
God, that just...
Can somebody AI that picture?
That's a thing. Somebody's going to send it to us tomorrow.
Can people send me that? Send me that. I'd much rather see.
They AI it, but it's like Zach Wilson a la like American Psycho when he's like, you know, and then Pitbull's like at the other end just like rapping like
but with no pants on, just helicoptering.
Yeah, just having a good time.
Mormon convert Pitbull is crazy.
Yeah, Riviera, we have a strong cast of characters. I mean, we have Mormon convert Pitbull kicking it with like Pog Chaser MLK.
Oh my God.
You know, they're just hanging out.
Pog Chaser MLK does not need to go to a Mormon school.
No, Pog Chaser MLK would be very upset because he'd be like, there's not an ass to be seen on this campus.
Because he's got to take Malcolm with him. Yeah. Just because Martin, I'm not letting you go to the White Devil University by yourself. You know you cannot be trusted around the devil's women. Like, can you imagine? Oh, Malcolm, don't you start with me today. Like, can you imagine?
They get on campus though,
awesome
and
that would be.
They got on campus though. And so many flat asses. You're safe, Martin. You're safe.
I told you this would be a waste of time. We needed to go to Miami.
Saggy yoga pants all over the place.
I was trying to see one of those light-skinned Cubans to see if they had fat asses. Maybe a Venezuelan even. Malcolm, you have a point.
And then Mormon convert Pitbull just busts the corner.
And he's got all the thick ones.
Yeah.
He's just been feeding him pupusas the whole time. My God, it's Pitbull. This is a Tubi movie Jason is writing.
That's right. Uncle Ruckus pops out. I'm in heaven. You know?
My God, this is white woman heaven. Dude, I watched the Tubi movie the other day with a chick that I knew in it.
Oh my gosh.
And what was funny was I had hit up a friend a while back, a woman. She's married now. And we used to all work these same kind of promotional jobs around the Bay. And I was like, man, I can't meet anybody. And I'm tired of these dating apps. And I was like, do you know anyone that's like, 'cause she's a little younger than me. So you know anyone that's like my age and single and not fucking crazy? And she was, ooh, that's difficult. And she started naming all these people, and she would send me their profile. She goes, oh, are you friends with this person, this person? And she had sent me this one black girl. She goes, oh, you remember Crystal? I was like, I do remember her. And she goes, she's single. She remembers you. I was like, yeah. And so I'm looking at her profile, and it was just real positive. And it was positive in that way that would like piss me off.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why are you so down? It's like, bitch, because I'm feeling emotions. It's okay. It's like,
I've been single a while and have really been questioning whether anybody's gonna love me ever. Okay, that's why I'm kind of bummed.
yeah, like it's okay. Like people do this. They're not
Yeah.
always like this. It's okay. But she was so I'm on Tubi looking for something to see, preferably in the horror section. And I see this woman on the box. I call it the box, but like the little thing that you can tell what movie it is. I was like, oh, a black Tubi movie with someone and it's like 3 a.m. So I hit up my homegirl. I'm like, dude, you didn't tell me homegirl was in a fucking Tubi movie. It was everything I wanted out of a Tubi movie.
So a cinematic masterpiece.
No, but it's everything I wanted out of a Tubi movie.
See, I've only have one story like that, and it's not positive.
Oof.
I had a friend in high school, and our senior year, she kind of like lost it, right? Like she just partied all the time. She got busted with drugs. Had a really bad home life. So she gets expelled like a month before we graduate. Okay. Now, fast forward, I'm in Afghanistan the second time. And, we have external hard drives just loaded with porn that we passed around so we can like pick and choose which one we got. So one of my buddies gave me his, and I plug it into my laptop and I click on the first one and I'm like, huh, she looks familiar. And she had this heart tattoo like right on her hip. It was like the flaming heart, like the Catholic one.
Yeah.
And I was like, if she's got that tattoo, this is definitely her. And then she went to hop on his pogo stick and I saw it and I'm like, yep. I was like, that's
so
her.
she turned her wild side into something profitable. So good for her.
Yeah. It's gonna be weird because next year, yes, Bad Lefty. She just ferocious fighter for Islam. But like our 25-year reunion is next year, and I was like, I'm not going. There's no fucking way I'm going. And I saw that she was going to be there because I put a list out of everybody who already.
Oh, you should go. Say what's up.
Oh, I am. I'm definitely going to
go. Hey, I don't know if it was you, but were you in Cockmongers 47?
I mean, if I get enough drinks in me, I'm going to be like, you made Afghanistan tolerable.
Don't put all that dick in me.
Hey, we'll call her Jenna. Hey, Jenna, do you want to witness my penis power? Do you want a one-way ticket to Jam City?
Jam City. Don't you jam all that dick up in me, Jam City. I don't know why I haven't made that a drop. Like all the things I do during the day, when I'm done, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have done that thing, and I like pass out. But people are asking what movie it is. It's called Switch, and there's different levels to Tubi movies, but most of them to me are like Christian romance novels. And I say Christian because this is where Jesus won't be the centerpiece like a Tyler Perry movie, but it'll be the thing that kind of brings you back.
And it's all shot
from your
on
wrong
an iPhone. All shot
well,
on
because
an iPhone.
Because this movie was filmed pretty decent, but the whole premise was this woman, I guess, and the girl I knew was like the main person in the movie. She was supposed to be like a slut and it takes place in Michigan. She's supposed to be like a slut in college, and her homegirl is dating a football player who's supposed to be a running back, but apparently he's built like an offensive lineman, and he's like 40. And I'm like, dude, you were a running back in the 80s, but you're not a running back now. Like you need to be running back in time.
Yeah, they don't call it running for us anymore. It's more of a jog.
Dude, I wish you could have been there watching this with me because we would have been cracking the fuck up. So the chick walks in and her friend's like, "Oh my God, you're so fucked up." And she's like, "Girl, I'm so fucked up." And then her boyfriend walks in with these two dudes. He's like, and she sees the two dudes and she's like, "Oh my God, I could really go for a three-way right now." And I'm like, who the fuck says that when two people walk in a room?
Yeah, and on top of that, the few that I've had didn't start out with us broaching the topic. We were just under the influence, and it happened.
Like,
You know?
right? You walk in, like me and you walk in a room, and some chick just yells out, "Oh my God, who wants to double up on me?" I'd be kind of scared if that was the first thing you said, regardless of how cute you were. I'd be like,
it's just
I don't
like,
know, man.
Jason Mack, you want to Eiffel Tower me? Honestly, no,
No,
I don't want to.
No. How'd you know my name? Like, I just walked in the door. What are you stalking me, lady? So she says that, and I guess she's joking. So the boyfriend goes to the girlfriend, the girl's girlfriend, and goes, "Hey, man, my two friends wanna bang your friend, and if you let your friend bang these dudes, because it was like a recruiting trip, he goes, they'll commit to the university, and then I can get to the league because these are offensive linemen." And I was thinking to myself, why do you need offensive linemen that are literally smaller than you, first of all?
Yeah.
And that's how you do recruiting? Like, that's all you need? Like, fuck the money? Like, I'd rather have the money.
Bro, he watched the director, and I use that term loosely, watched He Got Game once, like 15 years ago, and was like, I'm pretty sure that was the premise of the entire movie. Let's get that in there.
All you need for a Division I athlete is cunnilingus.
Oral
and
sex.
So she goes up to her friend and goes, "Hey, girl, I hate to do this to you, but
I need you to
I'm
take
trying to fuck this dude to the NFL. Can you get doubled up on by these two guys for me?" And she goes, "I don't know. I've had a little too much to drink, and I really don't want to." And she goes like, "Please." And she goes, "Well, since you put it that way."
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, word? That's it? Okay. I've been saying it wrong. And so apparently she does it, and then they fast forward to the future, and she's with this guy, and they have a child. And it's another one of those movies where the child just disappears, and the child's crying, and she's like trying to jerk her husband off, and she's like, "Come on, let's fuck while the baby cries." And he's like, "No, I don't want to, because it's kind of gross." And I'm like, if it was the other way around, I could see that. Because as a dude, maybe you think that, but even if the baby's crying, it's like, I don't want. Let's just tend to the child.
Yeah, that kills the vibe, man. Yeah, that kills it. Like, I hear a baby cry, it's like I go from like midnight to 6 real quick, because that just ruins. Yeah,
right. And it's your child.
Yeah,
this is your child with your wife. Isn't your first instinct like, "Oh, let's go tend to the business. It's time to get up, honey.
Mm-hmm.
We had our opportunity. We missed our window. This is what happens, right?" And she's like, "We don't fuck anymore." He's like, "Girl, I'm tired from work at my miscellaneous job." And so she's like, I'm going to look on Facebook and see who I can hit up to masturbate to. And she like looks on Facebook, and she sees her friend from college. She goes, "I haven't seen my friend in college in forever." And she hits her friend up. She's like, "Girl, what are you doing?" And her friend is getting fucked by like the most below average dude ever. And this dude is just clapping. He's like church clapping cheeks, like, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." Just church clapping cheeks. And the girl's phone goes off, and she's like looking at the phone while she's getting her cheeks clapped. And you're just like, dude, this guy is so like, now I feel worse, but I have to watch more of this movie to see where this shitty plot goes. So the next day, they talk on the phone. She's like, "Girl, how you doing? I haven't seen you since you fucking got doubled up on by those two guys in my fucking apartment." And she's like, "Yeah, how'd that work out?" "Oh, my dude went to the league, but he broke his leg. And then he was done after that. But I got half of his signing bonus. So high five. Now I'm dating this pimp, mediocre dude that's kind of rotund, but he owns a strip club." Okay, that's weird. And she goes, and they're talking on the phone. And she's like, what happened to you? She goes, oh, I married this guy and I have a kid and a wonderful life. And so she shows him a picture of her wonderful life. And the girl, the friend, shows a picture of the dude that was church clapping her cheeks, dick. Mac, we are very good friends, like very good friends.
Yeah.
Even if I bothered to take a picture of a woman I was with naked, which I would never do.
No.
Take it in with my mind camera.
Yeah.
I wouldn't send it to you.
No.
She
that's
sends
so
the
fucked up.
dick pic. She sends the dick pic, and instead the chick going, ew, why the fuck would you do that? What the hell is wrong with you? She gets a dick pic. She goes, damn, your dude's got a big dick. The fuck? Where are these women, and why haven't I met them?
You having an unnatural allegiance to losers is not like you.
You're right, Cat Williams, because I should be with these people that are sharing dick pics. Because that's where the winning's at, Cat Williams. You're fucking 100% right. So she shares the dick pic, and she goes, come out with me. We haven't gone out in forever. And they go out, and they're pre-gaming in the car, having a few drinks. And she goes, hey, girl, take one of these. She goes, well, what is this? She goes, it's Molly. She goes, ecstasy? I can't take drugs. My husband would be upset with me. She goes, girl, you used to remember you was fucking them two dudes and sucking crazy cock in my apartment? Fuck your husband. She's like, no, dude, I can't go back to my whorish ways. I'm literally somebody's mother now and wife. I'm just hanging out with you, and we're supposed to be going to a club. She goes, we are going to a club. We're going to a strip club. She goes, a strip club? Why do I want to go to a strip club? She goes, girl, my husband owns it, or my dude owns this. It'll be fun. They go in the strip club, and I felt kind of bad because they actually filmed it at a strip club.
Oh. Okay.
But I think the B team was working.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They filmed it during the day from like noon to 4. Like they were getting that lunch buffet crowd in.
It was like this. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it because now it's like 3 a.m. and I just want to see if a tit shows. I'm just that degenerate, and I have to see, and doesn't. But anyway, the girl goes,
Jason didn't see a tit, but what he saw were 3 C-section scars and 1 bullet scar.
Dude, you saw everything. You saw everything. I wish you were over exaggerating. If you think I'm lying, it's called switch. So the girl goes, she's drinking her drink, and she said she didn't want to do drugs or whatever. She goes, I'm going to get a lap dance. And my dude's going to take care of her drinks, and everything's on the house. And she meets the dude who she said had a big dick. And the fucking fat dude walks up. He's like, hey, girl, how you like my club? She goes, yeah, club is really nice. And he's like, yeah, you look really nice too. I'm going to go piss. And she goes to the bathroom. And then her friend puts ecstasy in her drink. She comes back from the bathroom, and her friend's like, hey, let's do the cheers thing. And so they cheers, and she just fucking guzzles this champagne. Just guzzles champagne. And then all of a sudden the drugs hit because it's a movie, and you can tell these people have never done drugs in real life. And the drugs just hit super instant. She's like, hey, this is so great. I just want to rub on some tits. And so a stripper comes up, and she's like just rubbing on the strip. She's like, dude, this girl's ass feels so great. And so the cut to, she's like, let's go home. And so they go to the car, and they're waiting for the boyfriend because they're all leaving at the same time. And the boyfriend comes out, and the boyfriend's like, I'm going to fuck my girlfriend in the car, and you're going to watch. And so that happens. And she's like, this is really cool. Don't you want to join in? She's like, I can't join in. This is like, I'm a married woman. My husband would never allow it. And so she brings the chick over, and the husband sees the chick, and the chick does something to the husband that I'm going to tell you what happened, Mac. And I need you, because you have been a married man. Right? And I believe you are a good man.
I try, yes.
And I want to know what you would do in the same situation.
Okay.
So she invites the chick over, and the chick meets the husband, and the husband's like, you know what? You and your boyfriend should come over. We should have like a dinner party or whatever. So the chick brings her boyfriend over, and they have a dinner party, and the boyfriend goes to the bathroom, and he goes, hey, there's no soap here. And so he like yells down, like, there's no soap in the bathroom. And so the girlfriend goes, where's the soap? And the guy goes, oh, I'll get it. It's in the kitchen. And she follows him in the kitchen, and she grabs his dick. She grabs her friend's husband's dick. She grabs his dick, and not in that like quick grab way. She like felt around for the dick in his pants, and then got a big handful of dick and a little bit of balls. And she goes, damn, you got a big dick. And he went, huh? Like he just stared at her like, And I was like, word? Like that's all you did? This chick has a handful of your dick in her hand, and this is your girl's best friend. What do you do in that situation?
I immediately turn into Uncle Phil. And I DJ Jazzy Jeff her ass out my front door.
Right? What? My first thought would be it'd be some kind of weird setup. I would yell out like the last scene in Malcolm X, nigga, get your hand out of my pocket.
Jason just busts the whistle out, starts hitting it. Rape!
Carol Ann, your homegirl got her hand on my balls. Palm on the dickhead and everything.
Baby, I just want you to know it only got hard because someone was touching it. I didn't mean nothing by it.
I would have fought so hard for my dick to stay limp. I would have punched it. I would have beat the shit up. Stay down.
You just start thinking, you're like, baseball. My grandmother playing baseball.
I would have contemplated cutting that shit off because I wouldn't know it was a setup.
You look over, you see the knife stand, you're just like, nice knowing you, dude.
Like, we can't. This is the end. She grabbed so much of his, like she had so much dick in her hand, and he just kind of looked over like maybe he smelled a fart. I'm like, that's not the face you make when someone's holding your dick.
No,
that isn't your wife in your house, and your wife's in the other room.
No, that's. So how did this film end?
So the chick convinces the husband. The wife convinces the husband to spice up their life because she's really sad. She's like, I don't get fucked anymore. And so after the dick grabbing happens, the husband just fucks his wife, right? And the wife's like, I know you fucked me because you were thinking of my friend. And that's okay, because I don't mind you thinking of other people while you fuck me. He's like, no, I was totally thinking of you. She's like, no, I know you weren't. Like, I totally know you weren't. My friend's ass is bigger than mine, and you were thinking of her. And how about this? We find someone for you to fuck, and I just sit back and watch it. And he's like, word? She's like, yeah, this is what I want. And he was like, are you sure? She's like, oh, I'm fucking totally sure. So they go on a tirade. She's like, I need you to beat the, she says, and I quote, yeah, this is the one I want you to fuck, and make sure you beat that pussy up.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he gets tired of it, and he's like, I don't want to be, I like, look, I feel weird, and I don't dig it. I dig you, but I don't dig this other people fucking thing. She's like, why don't we take this to the next level? And why don't we fuck with other people in the room? Like, what me and you will fuck, but another couple will be in the room too. He's like, no, I don't want another dude looking at you, which I thought was odd. I was like, dude, your chick was just sitting there. You were fucking all these women, and you didn't have any problem with that. And so he's like, I couldn't live with myself if that happened. And so of course he can't live with himself when that happens. And then eventually the friend like tricks him and confronts him, and the friend goes, hey, I know you want to fuck me. It's totally cool with your wife. So why don't we do this thing where you fuck me and my dude gets to fuck your wife? And he's like, and to get him like really hyped about it, she just starts blowing him. Just right. She's already, so he knows that she's got smooth hands from the dick grab.
Well,
and she's just giving him a fucking ace. Just he's seeing angels and trumpets.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she stops and she goes, if you want me to finish and you want all this, you got to let my dude fucking fuck your wife. And he was like, I'm not cool with that. She's like, well,
Damn.
if you want to finish. And he goes, okay, fine. So they have another dinner party and the chick just takes him. She's like, all right, let's go. She takes him into the room and they start fooling around. But his wife is just super loud. She's just getting railed by the church cheek clap man. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it die.
The neighbors are like, wow, they must really be spiritual people next door.
Dude, he is just destroying this dude's wife. And he's like, and the dude's like, I can't do this. And he grabs his gun and he goes to shoot his wife. And the chick is like, no. I'll totally blow you. Just don't shoot anyone. He's like, I can't. She's like, no, watch. He's like, it's not enough. And so finally he fucks the chick. His wife gets railed 3 ways a Sunday. Next day happens. And he's like, I told you I really wasn't cool with you getting banged by someone else. She goes, I don't know how I feel about it either. She goes, as a matter of fact, I want a divorce.
What?
And so the dude happens to have his gun in his pocket. And he's like, oh, you don't say. Cacao. And then you go, cacao, and then it's over. And then the credits roll.
What?
Yeah.
That was a roller coaster, man.
Dude,
I'm gonna have to watch this now.
It's called Switch. And the main chick I've worked with, she is so sweet. And she doesn't show anything in the movie. Most you get is like some shots of her in like a thong. And she's in amazing shape. To this day, she's in amazing shape. Wonderful person. And she did a really good job with the movie, considering, because lighting was off. They didn't color correct it, so there's scenes where her and another girl are green. But that dumb stuff aside, if you like just that kind of drama that I just explained, that soap opera bullshit, check it out, dude.
That was an
Jason,
emotional.
my man, TIR needs more awful movie reviews. You know why I won't make it a regular segment, Bad Lefty? I refuse to not be able to enjoy those bad movies for just the sake of stuff to talk about. So it'll only be randomly like this.
Dude,
sorry.
That was an emotional roller coaster I wasn't prepped for tonight.
Riviera said, holy shit, cinema is so back.
Riv, you're right. Like, we were bemoaning all these comic book movies are ruining cinema, but then we have this gem.
Dude, you have to see the movie. It's so fucking fun. When she tells the dude, like, I want you to fucking fuck these other chicks. And he's like, you sure? She goes, tear the pussy up.
Want you to tear that pussy up.
I want to see, because I really, there were so many scenes I was pausing for no reason. And I was like, oh, dude, I want to ask a guy like Mac what he would do if a chick
Yeah.
with his
Like,
wife in the other room just grabbed his, and it's supposed to be your wife's like best friend. Best friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this movie, and I'm gonna write another one. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna buy a new iPhone, and I'm gonna film the entire thing on it. You know, I'm gonna show a little more cheek. You know, maybe some boobies, but
Margot says there are woman cucks. Margot, a man wrote this because all these movies that I talk about are the same film written by men, and the movies are women are good. It's just their whorish friend. That's what the movies are all about. Your whorish friend will lead you down a path that will fuck everything up. And it's never about like men being pieces of shit. It's always about women being misled by someone.
yeah. Hey, Timothy, that's the other switch with Jimmy Smits and Ellen Barkin. This is a different switch.
This is ultimately irrelevant to gender liberation.
Yeah.
Yes, this movie is antithetical to so much.
And y'all, Detroit just knotted it up at 20. Looks like we're going to overtime.
No way.
Yeah.
Timothy says, so the hoes ain't loyal. Dude, these movies, they're a bit offensive. If you're sitting here watching it from the standpoint of like, this isn't how, there's no average married couple where the wife's trying to jerk the husband off while the kid's crying. Like that just doesn't happen.
No, nothing kills a mood like hearing a kid talk or cry.
When you said talk, because talk is this. Has this ever happened to you or anyone watching? I know there's a lot of married people and dads and moms. Hopefully moms watch this show. That'd be really cool. But have you ever like waited and the kid is asleep and finally, and you guys are both awake enough and you're excited and you're both excited and you're both smiling and you're fooling around, and the moment you're really about to like, it's about to get real, you hear just a soft, "Daddy?"
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's the pitter patter of the feet.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the worst one is when like you've got the door locked, you think the kid's asleep, and they're such ninjas that you look over and you see the two little feet underneath the door. And you're just like, well, we're done.
It's like, yeah, like what is going on? What is going on? Why are you awake? And you go, "Hey, buddy, why are you?" And I don't care what your kid is. "Hey, buddy, why are you awake?"
Hey, bud.
I had a bad dream. Oh shit!
There was like moaning, and I heard something against the wall.
Yeah. Why was mommy crying? Mommy's not crying. Mommy, tell her you're not crying. And then someone's just laughing.
Yeah. If you have been married and have a kid, that's happened to you at least 5 times. At least.
Oh my God. And now everyone understands divorce.
Yeah. And the worst one, I mean, honestly, like this was an extreme case of I want a divorce because like I mean, I own weapons, but I don't take it to like the breakfast table, you know. You know, it's just like
he had the gun in his robe,
like,
and he looked at the gun, kind of like when homegirl grabbed his dick. It was like, divorce, you say?
Oh, okay. I mean, this is nonsense, but I feel compelled to like. Honestly, I'll probably eat an edible and then watch it. You know,
That would, dude. Then make sure you let me know how you enjoyed it. We have someone watching the show. Margaret, this is the sports show where we do not talk about very serious subjects. This is the fun show.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I'll be doing a non-fun show. I'll definitely be depressed. Feel free to add to that depression by asking a very serious question. But for now, it's the fun time.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about ludicrous things that should never happen in real life.
Yeah.
Ever.
Just the most ridiculous nonsense ever, you know.
Did she have the gun when he was
Well, I mean, that might have solved this problem there. Like if he reached in his pocket after he did the, you know, he's just like, oh.
No,
get your hand off my dick.
That would have totally, the movie would have been so much shorter and better,
Yeah.
like those memes with the Curb Your Enthusiasm credits that roll hella quick.
You get like, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, like, dude.
and it's like the credits roll like it is like when you watch a movie on TV and they're getting ready to go into the next thing. It's just like real fast, you know. Like,
Mac, the way he grabbed the gun because his wife is just getting fucking railed and she won't stop moaning. And he was like, "Oh no, I can't take this." And I'm like, "Hey man, what did you think was going to happen when you agreed to the gangbang?"
yeah,
That's how these things work, Ennis. It's not a fucking, like, what are you, it's not your candy store.
yeah. Like, dude, like I've had, you know, being in the military, you meet a lot of swingers, right? Like there are a lot of people into the lifestyle in the military. And it's just like, you know, they come in Monday morning after the weekend. You're like, hey man, how was your weekend? He's like, bro, kind of busy, you know, mowed the lawn, did some steaks, you know, made some steaks on the grill, went to this gangbang. You know, and you're just like, what? Yeah, man. You know, my wife and I were swingers, and we, you know, there's this place in town that we go to, and like you have to be invited. And like, he's like, dude, I railed like 6 chicks. You know, he's like, I popped like 2 Viagra before I left. He's like, I was just shooting ropes all over the place, man. It was fucking great.
Ropes.
And I'm just sitting there like, and your wife's okay with this? He's like, oh yeah, man. Dude, we both are. He's like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I'll come home after work. Like we had a jump and we didn't get off till like 9, get home like at 10. And she's just there with like her boyfriend. And I'm like, hey, Carl, what's up, man? You doing all right? Yeah, dude, it's great. And he's just, you know, yeah. And I was like, oh, so this is like an understanding you guys have. And he's like, yeah, man. Yeah. Like it's what we do.
That's,
you know,
that's the thing, right? You would have, if you're, look, if you have an understanding with your partner, which is what the movie was trying to talk, but it just made that shit look like there's no such thing as understanding.
Yeah.
And like nobody understands anything. Like, I can totally watch you fuck. You sure you want me to watch you fuck these other chicks? And she's like, didn't you like it? And he was like, yeah, kinda. It's like, yeah, kinda. You did it like 8 times.
Yeah. Like,
At the second time, it's like, hey, dude, I'm not really digging this. I don't want to do this anymore.
yeah, you'd think after the first time you would sit down and have like an after action review where you're like, okay. And
like HR comes.
You know, like, are you enjoying it? And he's like, you know what? I'm not really feeling it. Like in the moment, it feels great, but like I feel really shitty afterwards. And he's just, I don't know. And at that point, the wife could be like, okay, well, see, I'm enjoying myself. What can we do to make sure that you are enjoying yourself as well? I'm not feeling this, you know, like, and then you have that conversation, like, you know, can I go out and keep fucking people? Are you going to be okay with that? And if he's like, no, it's like, maybe this isn't going to work. Cause I've embraced my inner need to bang lots of other people. You know, like that should be something that happens after the first time. You don't do it 8 times and then suddenly be like, you know what? This ain't for me.
Yeah, because he was
Yeah.
like, hey, when we're done with this, he says some corny line like, when we're done with this experiment, can we walk through this life together? Some like super corny line
Oh God,
that somebody wrote, and they're like, this is the line where you understand what love is. You're supposed to think like the dude like totally loves her or whatever. And I'm like, I don't understand any of this because he seemed like, okay, I'm just gonna fuck these people. Like, that's not how dicks work.
Yeah,
If you
man.
really don't want to be there, you're not going to be there.
Yeah. And like, I'm sorry, like, if you're a dude older than 25, sometimes you're like, bro, the dick ain't gonna work for this one. She got really weird. You know, like she showed me like a weird collection, you know, threw me off my game. You know, at that point, it's like, oh man, I pulled a hammy walking up to your apartment. I'm gonna go to the ER.
Oh, dude, totally. That is, look, I think I told you about this time. God, I can't believe I'm talking about this on a regular show. She was a little young woman here, and just real energetic in a way that I just wasn't, and it was totally bumming me out. Like her energy was actually bumming me out. And she's like, let's fuck on the kitchen sink. And I was like, you know, I'm kind of a neat freak, and
I make my food here. And seeing your ass cheek like imprint on my countertop.
Like, we have to move things. It's a lot. I just put the new dish rack there.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I had an interaction with a woman that was like 24, and she's like on the table, like we just got in the house, and she saw the table. She's like, "Let's do it right here," and I was like, "Sweetheart, I'm in my early 40s. Table sex ain't happening anymore."
No.
I was like, "Shower sex is off the fucking
gross,
off the menu."
Who wants to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I understand why you don't like it. You had a near-death experience, but you know, I'm like, I got a comfy bed. It's memory foam, lots of pillows. You know, like let's go. She's like, you don't like to be adventurous, and I'm like, I've had 2 back surgeries, sweetheart. Like, adventurous is not. Like, it's not the thing anymore.
I just had a hip surgery. Like, I don't. Yeah. Adventurous to me is like walking.
Yeah, you know, like, do I want to smash? Yes. Do I want to hurt myself in the process of smashing?
Doesn't sound like fun.
No.
Doesn't sound.
I don't want to. I don't want to have an orgasm and then go, hey, you might want to get cleaned up. I need to go to the ER. You know, like, I don't want to do that.
Can you hand me my medical alert bracelet?
Did you hear that loud pop? I did. That was my knee. I think it broke.
Like, it's just being so old.
Yeah, it's just fucking awful.
Like, I was watching this movie, and the people were like, they're around our age, and the movie was like maybe 4 or 5 years older, but still they're around our age. And I was like, there's no way in the world anybody is this energetic. They weren't even, if they were taking Viagra beforehand, you knew it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe, and doing like crazy lines of blow or something like that. Like, oh, well, I guess.
Yeah. Like
like drinking a bunch of espresso shots. Like,
yeah, you had like a quad shot espresso, and you did like a Tony Montana line, and then popped like 3 Viagra. Okay, I see it. But like me coming back from work, and I'm like, it's been a day, man. My wife's like, hey, you need to go get showered up. We're having a fuck party over at the Wilson. You know? Oh, can we cancel? Can we cancel and just watch something on like TV? Like, I'm so tired.
Right?
And she like, you walk in the door. She's got like 2 Viagra and like a 20-ounce Red Bull for you, and you're just like, oh, it's Thursday, isn't it? Fuck. Oh.
Fucking, oh God. And you're calling your friends. You're like, oh yeah, I gotta go, man. It's a wife wants to have another fuck party tonight, man. I don't know why I signed up for these.
Yeah, I got a fuck party. I got to do, guys. Sorry.
Got Pilates in the morning. I don't forget.
Mac, you said you'd be there for the softball team, man. Come on. Man, I gotta go to the fuck party. You get there, it's like, hey Hannah, how are you? Yeah, I guess I'm ready for this. Mac, do you want like a glass of wine? You know what? I don't really like wine. I get bad hangovers. But do you have like any kind of liquor? I have gin. Oof. You know what? Yeah, just gin and tonic, me, Hannah, and then we'll.
You got a Schlitz in there?
Yeah. Got any Strohs? Like, what do you got, man? Like, come on. Just like the most unenthusiastic fuck party because like I'm tired and I just hear my wife like turning into like Jenna Jameson in the next room. I'm just like, oh man,
just a banshee. Yeah,
you know. Then you go home afterwards and you're just like, someone had fun.
I missed the fucking softball championship for this. I hope you're happy.
Yeah, you know, Hannah gives the most unenthusiastic blowjobs. This is not right.
Yeah, I was like, Hannah, hey, wake up.
Yeah,
but you want to bring your narcoleptic friends over?
Yeah. Oh, Danny sounds like he's got a big dick. Well, he that's Mac. Oh. You know what? No more fuck party at the Wilsons. Okay,
that would have been.
We're not going to the Wilsons anymore. Find us a new one.
The argument you're having would have made that movie so much better than the one at the end where she's just like, I think I just want a divorce.
Dude, I'm gonna rewrite this film as a comedy. Just nonsense discussions. You know, our male protagonist in this is gonna be like a guy who started out like really blue collar, but now he's like management and he just hates it. You know, and he's just like, oh. You know, and he gets home one day and he's talking about his rough day. Yeah, we had to let 100 people go today, sweetie. It was rough. Jim, we're not having enough sex. I know, and I know I have to be more intentional with initiating. And I'm sorry. You know, I'm
such a therapy.
Yeah, I mean, get back in the gym. I'm feeling better. Like I don't mind seeing myself naked anymore. And she's like, no, Jim. I think we should have fuck parties. You know. Ooh. I mean, you think that'll work? I mean, I think it will. I mean, the Wilsons seem open to it, and then we just start it. You know, and then we have that stopping point with the Wilsons, and then we'll get the Phillips family. There's some really weird motherfuckers, right? Because Jim really is vibing with Mrs. Phillips, right? But Mrs. Phillips wants to peg him.
Whoa.
Right? So after their first fuck party, right? He's like, hey, did you know that Mrs. Phillips wants to peg? What the fuck is pegging? And she's like, oh, Jim, that's where we put the strap on and just fuck you in the ass. And he's just like, whoa, wait a minute.
I can't do that on the first fuck party.
Yeah, like, come on.
It's like a 7th fuck party in.
You know? And she's like, speaking of which, Mrs. Phillips wanted me to give you this. And she like gives him a little box. And he's turning into the driveway and he puts the car in park and he opens it and it's a butt plug. And he's just like, what the fuck is this? And she did say you have to be trained a little bit so it won't hurt as much.
Whoa.
Oh my. Sweetie, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Well, this is our new fuck party family. So like, come on. And you just see him get up the next morning, like he brushes his teeth and the butt plug just sitting there next to the cup that holds his toothbrush. And he's like, you just see him just, oh!
Ew. Honey, can't we just do CrossFit instead?
We'll go do CrossFit, please. I don't. Like he comes back from work and he sits down and just like,
Timothy said this turned into the Pornhub production room. Like that's what I thought I was gonna get with this movie because the way homegirl talk was just like, yeah, I'm just nasty. I'm gonna do all the nasty things. Just one, just and you know, she wasn't all the
yeah.
But yeah, watch. It's called Switch.
Yeah.
And it's on
And
Tubi.
and in a year's time, be on the lookout for Switch 2, the sequel that I write. That Jason, you'll get a producer credit naturally. And we'll sell dozens of dollars of tickets for this.
I no bullshit. Know someone that is involved with Tubi movie production that lives near me. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being 100% serious.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna like go get one of those screenwriting for dummies books, read it.
So you get, and they do. I'm not going to tell you the whole thing they do, but when these people are like well-known people, and it was interesting when he was telling me how they do the whole Tubi thing, and I was like, oh, okay, now I get why there's so many of these types of movies there, and because he tried to say it like it was kind of embarrassing, I was like, no, I fucking love Tubi movies, like not in a non-ironic way, like I love shitty, I don't want to say shitty, I love drama.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the most fictional drama ever because I know it's like soap operas.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen in real life.
Tell that to Jim. Okay, tell that to Jim.
Tell that to the gangbang guy. I'm sure he would beg to differ. Never go to a gangbang at Dean Cain's house.
That's right. I mean, this guy's walking around with a butt plug in at work trying to get trained for Mrs. Phillips, right? Like this is real life to him, Jason.
Why do you look so uncomfortable? Please don't talk to me. But you have to interject Jesus in it in some capacity. Like if we just walk with the Lord, because that's what happens. Like your whorish friend, and you stop walking with the Lord.
I've got a perfect one right now. What we'll do is in Mrs. Phillips' fuck room, because they have a very nice, like 4-bedroom home, and all their kids have already moved away. So they turned 2 of the rooms, knocked down a wall, and just made a giant fuck dungeon on the second floor. Right. But on one wall is a giant, like Irish Catholic crucifix. And Jim's going to walk in ready to be pegged.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, all right, Mrs. Phillips, let's do this. He's like, I get to give it to you after you're done, right? And she's like, oh, fuck yeah, Jim. You're going to give it to me hard. And he's like, I can't do that in front of Jesus. And he just like takes it down and he puts it behind the curtain or something, you know?
And then it falls and it's just like,
Yeah.
That
like tips over.
See, I would watch that movie. I would totally watch that movie for no other reason than I'd have to see how it ends, right? I have to see if he's going to go through with it, if he's not. Because some of these movies just end and you're like, that was it. Like this movie ended and everyone gets shot. That's also another thing I love about Tubi movies. They shoot everybody. They shoot the kids. They don't give a fuck. You're going to get shot.
Everybody's
done. Everybody's going to die.
See, the name of our movie, though, is going to be Everybody Catches a Load. The closing scene will be Jim enacting his revenge on Mrs. Phillips because she was very rough. She was not gentle during the pegging. And it's just, you see her there. Like, it's kind of like the camera's behind him. You see his back. She's on her knees just waiting. And it just, and then cuts to black. You know? Like, and I'm going to make it all fancy and just put Finn, and then we roll.
Like, you're like, man, you watched that new Artie movie on Tubi?
It's an artistic, erotic comedy. At that point, I'm shaving my beard.
You can't watch too many of these movies in a row, and you really have to space them out. At this point,
I would shave my beard. I would get a little pencil mustache, and I would start like refusing to answer to my name unless you called me like Pierre. I'd become a pretentious
I'd be a complete douchebag.
Yeah.
If I made a Tubi movie like that, I would walk around like I was like hot shit. I'd be such an asshole. Like, hi, how you doing? I'm a director. I made a Tubi movie.
Yeah. Well, DC Joe Black, the rating, I'm just gonna make it. It's gonna be one of those like when you get the extended version of films and it says just this film's not rated. That's what it's gonna be at, because the ratings people are going to be like, he didn't show any penetration, so we can't give it an X. But he did allude to a woman taking a giant load in her face. So, like, what do we give it, an R?
You have to not show, but imply That's like the thing. I don't know why. I don't know if Tubi has a deal with their sponsors. Like, we're not going to do OJ ads on this thing if you
Yeah.
keep showing all this penetration. I don't know. But
see, what the question is, Jason, when we cast Jim, do we just get like a normal dude? Because he's going to hang dong in the film. Like, we're going to make it enjoyable for everybody watching, right?
Yeah.
But like, or do we get a guy that's got like an elephant trunk? So it makes the viewer think like, why isn't his wife happy with this shillelagh?
You know what? I'm down. You know what I just watched? You know what I just watched? Like, seriously watched. That's not a shitty film. Is the cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover. Have you ever seen that movie?
That title is way too long.
It is. Way too long. Great movie. Great fuck. You know what? Watch. That's a real movie. It's not a Tubi movie. It's like an award-winning piece of cinema. We did a show about 89. And one thing that I found like refreshing about it was that the people that were nude were of a certain age. I think Helen Mirren was around 40 when she did that movie, 40 plus. And the male actor was not a beefcake, and he hangs dong in a lot of that film. And it's not one of those porn dongs that can like rescue a child from a well. It's a very normal.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, Helen Mirren can still get it. Still. And it's great because, she's not going to ask for anything weird and weird locales. She's going to be like, I have like a $4,000 bed. Let's do this.
You got to see the movie I just described because there's some interesting. It's a good. It is one of the most visually stunning and beautiful movies, and there's parts of it that are kind of hard to watch, but overall, it's a really good film that you can't watch once. You have to watch it multiple times because you'll watch it once and be like, I have to watch it again because I know I missed something.
Yeah,
it's a lot of long pan shots. But these beautiful pan shots.
Oh man! See, I think I found my calling just in this episode. I'm going to become a filmmaker of phenomenal Tubi movies, And if I can pay my bills on that, I am all for it. So
for those that we talked about it we did a movie show Tuesday for an 89, and for me that was one of the art films that come out in 89, like Sex, Lies, and Videotape comes out in 89 as well with James Spader. But this movie's British, but the whole movie is about this guy. He's a gangster. He eats at this really high-end French restaurant every night, and he buys it, and he's really abusive and shitty to everyone around him, and especially his wife. And his wife catches the eye of this dude that just goes to the restaurant also to read and eat, and they end up starting a relationship in minute intervals. Because she goes, I have to use the bathroom, and her and the dude go off and do something for literally like a minute, and there's so much tension because the husband's always looking for her whenever she leaves. Like it's a really, I'm telling you, dude, I think you're gonna dig it.
I'll check it out. I definitely will because like I'm trying to broaden my mind, man. I feel like living in Fayetteville so long has made me dumber somehow. And I was an older guy when I went to college, so I got along with all my professors, and my favorite one invited me over for his birthday this weekend, and I got to hang out and just have adult conversations for 3 hours. And I was like, this is fucking amazing. I miss that. Because like, when I left and I went out for 2 drinks, and I only had 2 fucking drinks, Jason. I plan on getting fucking shitty. And I literally had the dumbest conversation of my life. And I was like, you know what? I'm going home. I'm going to go to bed. And I'm going to pretend this entire interaction did not happen. Like, I need to broaden my brain. Like, it's so bad these days, man.
I mean, I don't want to get into my life, but look, we got a lot to do. I still have a lot to do this evening, work-wise, for This Is Revolution and everything else. Mac, thank you so much for making this special Beyond the Red Zone appearance. And we promise you guys we go off the rails. We definitely went off the rails.
Yeah. But see, we also came up with an amazing film idea. So
if you guys want to AI this film and make like an AI trailer, do that. Do Martin and Malcolm at the Boise State and BYU campus. You can AI all the like do that. That sounds funny and cool, and I couldn't wait to see it. Do that, please.
Yeah, but do me a favor. Do not don't send me stupid emails, please. I got one after our last episode we did about the comic. Like I actually got a hateful email over that entire thing.
Really?
Yes.
No way. I'm sorry.
From some libertarian who watched it and thought it was utter nonsense.
Oh, look, some certain hateful comments I look at as like making it.
Well, see, like I've been dealing with it since the Stars documentary came out.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yours is a little different than me. Yours is a little different than me. Yeah.
So when I get this weird email, I was figuring it was related to that. And just literally first line, economic bill of rights. Bullshit. And he just goes on like a 6-paragraph screed.
Really?
Yes.
No. I'm not reading that.
No, I read it and I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is one of those like fucking goofballs that Max did the stupid documentary about, like saying, you know, they're like, it was called what, like anarchists or some shit, but it was like a bunch of like crypto libertarian.
Oh yeah.
That had nothing to do.
Yeah, it was called anarchists. Yeah.
Yeah, with anarchism, really. And I was just like, all I said was, bro, go touch grass. Have a great day. That's all I wrote back.
You responded. You're a better man than me. You got to say something real fucking fucked up for me to respond. I responded to somebody said something fucked up the other day, and I responded, but I have to stop. Toussaint goes, Jason, I have a friend here in New York, and they love when you violently respond. And I was like, just because you said that, I can't. I cannot.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I just look at it this way. My little response took 2 minutes to formulate and send, and that was it. Obviously, we said something that lived in his head for so long. He wrote a novella to ensure that, you know, I understood that the markets will take care of themselves, you know, like that type of shit.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I would just be like, fuck right off.
Yeah. You know, so I was like, Jason and I did something very well. Very, very well.
I'm kind of like, fuck. I'm kind of like, yeah, fuck. My first, now my reaction, I took everything off my phone. So that makes it hard to respond. But when you go into YouTube to like edit stuff, I see fresh comments.
Yeah.
I see like maybe 6 fresh comments. And usually they're like, hey, that was thanks. That was funny. And fuck you very much, by the way. Like, okay. So then you want to look more and you start, I'm like, you know, I don't. And then you're like, these are comments that are so bad, they're held.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really? What are these people really saying? So it's like, I don't want to see, not that I don't want to see bad stuff, but you can, how can I put this? You can fall down this rabbit hole where you start existing in this world of comments and it becomes so real that you get like angry and it fucks up your day. And then you talk about it with someone else that isn't in this world and they look at you like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can't tell my neighbors, like, how's your day? I don't know, man, but fucking Butt Nugget 47 called me a piece of shit. And then I'm not a real leftist and I'm a fake ass this. And then fucking Tradwife 49 said that I can't like all this. Yeah, whatever, dude. I'm gonna go talk to like real people. It's so much better.
Yeah.
Thank God my friend lives. Yeah, Ben lives like 2 houses down. And sometimes we'll get in these conversations about like, oh, and you see so and so said this, and oh, I got into it, and it's like, let's just go outside, and then no one will know who we are,
Yeah.
and then
I
it
mean,
just
it's
goes
great.
away.
You just like, I went downtown this weekend and I went to this little cafe. I took my book. I got a fucking cup of Irish breakfast tea and I sat there for 2 hours. Just
Jason outing all my. No, dude, I've been writing out like I'll leave my house and go somewhere I never go, and just write. I finally finished this thing that I got a format so I can put it out tomorrow, and
yeah.
yeah,
See, that's what
that's
that's what I'm doing.
I advise everyone, if you ever get like super mad online, if you can physically leave your place, even if it's just to sit in front of the door, just physically walk out of the door. If that's
Yeah.
possible, just walk out of the door. Turn everything off, walk out of the door, breathe, and don't have your phone with you so you're constantly looking at the thing again or the response. Just walk out.
Yeah. You got to unplug sometimes, man. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, do I like getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym? No, I hate it, actually. But I know if I wait till the end of the day, I won't do it because I'm tired. So, like, I get up, but the minute I start fucking lifting, it's like,
Yeah.
like you're rejuvenated, you're good to go. And I can go deal with the shenanigans at the dealership I work at because, goddamn, there's just shenanigans. And not the
Because
cute
what's
kind.
like way more depressing than comments to me? My bank account. And right, like I can look at that if I really want to be depressed. I don't need to fucking look at comments.
Yeah, I can see that nobody's called me in like a month other than
Right? Like there's so many things. I could you know what I could do if I really wanted to be depressed? I could start a dating profile and watch no one respond to it.
I can open up my text messages, Jason, and see the woman who gave me her number, and I texted her the next day, and she left me on red without responding.
Whoa!
Yeah, that one kind of hurt. The only thing I could think of is her bitchy friend, like, kept saying I was like short and old, and she was like, "Oh, he was short and old. Ooh, one of those I can deal with, but two, oh."
That's again. There's enough things in my real life that are way more depressing than someone in the make believe space. That it's never going to walk up to me and say those things.
Yeah, it's like, bro, if you had 2 balls in your ball sack, you'd put your pennies together, fly out here, and tell me to my face. But you won't, because I will treat your skull like a punching bag, and then after I fucking remove it from your neck, I'll shit down the chasm where your skull used to be, and then I'll turn your skull into an ashtray, and I'll pick up smoking cigars just so I can ash in it.
Wow, that is severe, and I hope it never gets that serious. And I'll say this before we leave: hug your friends, tell them you love them, because you never know. You never know. So
that's right. And be
tragedy
on the lookout.
has struck a friend of mine, and it's really sad. And you never know.
That's right. And be on the lookout for our film 2025.
So I appreciate everyone that bothers watching this show. It means the world to me, and I mean that literally. And I appreciate Mac for being a part of this show, and Pascal and Toussaint and Baj and Koo and everybody else. Varn, Quintern.
Varn when he's not saying some off the wall shit.
Lately, if I talk to Varn, I don't even address online shit. I just send him the same videos I send you.
Yeah, those videos are awesome.
So
I love them.
Hug your friends. Tell people you love them while they're here. And I will see you guys Tuesday. And we are Out.
Out.